Su Qing is coming too? The leaf day hears a sound, the eyebrow immediately tiny or wrinkly. Su Qing and he not only studied in the same university, but also in the same class when they were in high school. Many students in the class had heard about their engagement more or less. But now, Li Feiyang suddenly invited Su Qing to come here. I think he learned that Su Qing's engagement with him was annulled, and Su Qing's family was also bankrupt, so he wanted to humiliate him. However, Yi Tian doesn't care about the engagement, but when Su Qing sees him, doesn't he have to think about Su Zhaoyan's death in his hands again? Why don't you talk? You can't forget about Su Qing. I've heard that their marriage has been terminated. Oh, by the way, I've forgotten that something happened to Su Qing's family. My father died and the company went bankrupt. Tut tut, the fate of you two is surprisingly similar. Li Feiyang looks at Yi Tian's appearance and thinks that Yi Tian is afraid. He smiles and ponders with a slight threat. The meaning of his words is obvious, one is to laugh at Yi Tian about Su Qing's divorce, the other is to take Su Qing to coerce Yi Tian. If Yi Tian leaves, he will ridicule Su Qing later, and compare the ridicule with Su Qing's current situation. You may think too much, but since you say so, I'll stay. Yi Tian light smile, calm way. He has no feelings for Su Qing, no matter whether the other party wants to find revenge or her fate has changed, it has nothing to do with him. But he doesn't like to cause trouble to others for his own reasons. He knew that if Li Feiyang left now, he would vent his anger to Su Qing. Even though he has determined that Su Qing has nothing to do with himself, this situation is also something he does not want to see. Tut tut, what Zhao Quan said is true. As long as you mention Su Qing, you will definitely stay. Li Feiyang looks at Yi Tian and laughs. Then he looks up and laughs and walks to the hotel. Soon, the party came to the box of the hotel. After ordering, Li Feiyang, who was sitting in the main seat, said with a smile, "You may not know that the boss of Nanhai Hotel is a goddess. Compared with her, the girls we usually meet are nothing at all." Really? Have you met her? Zhao Quan was a good supporter at the right time. Other students, also by Li Feiyang lost appetite, rode. Ha, I've just met him once. Our land happened to be bought by their hotel to open a branch. Li Feiyang smirked, pretended to be playful, and said, "When you see one side, you'll be haunted by it." Looking at Li Feiyang's intoxication, many boys are more curious. They want to see how beautiful the boss of Nanhai Hotel is. But the goddess of Nanhai Hotel is very good, but it's not a star and a half compared with the god of Qin Luo in Jiangnan. That's the real lady of a big family. She's a real goddess in the world at this time. Li Feiyang changed the subject of his speech and said, "Qin Luo? The leaf day hears speech, the brow can't help but slightly wrinkly. He did not expect to hear these three words from Li Feiyang. But he has made up his mind that if this guy dares to run the train and say that it's not clean, he won't mind brushing his teeth for him. Miss Qin, that's a real goddess indeed. Feiyang, you don't know the famous Miss Qin, do you?" The students echoed one after another, and many people raised questions. "Of course I don't know." Li Feiyang sold a pass, and then changed the subject, thinking that humor. The students, who were aroused by him and looked forward to him, immediately looked embarrassed, and many people even showed a touch of contempt in their eyes. "Since you haven't seen it, what are you boasting about?" "Although I don't know Miss Qin, I know someone who will be with Miss Qin in the future." Li Feiyang laughs mysteriously. "No, I haven't heard of the engagement of Miss Qin." "Feiyang, are you kidding?" A language falls, the schoolmates are in an uproar immediately, all people are stunned to look at Li Feiyang unbelievable way. Yi Tian also came to the spirit, staring at Li Feiyang, want to see what secret Li Feiyang will say. "Haha, don't believe it?" Li Feiyang seems to have guessed the reaction of these people for a long time. Especially when he saw that even Yi Tian was staring at him, he became more proud. After a playful smile, he lowered his voice and said more mysteriously, "Have you heard of the Li family in Yinjing? Li Fangyuan, the eldest and youngest of the Li family, is 2 years senior to me. After entering school last year, I recognized my family with him. Now, I call him Brother Fangyuan." Speaking of Fangyuan Gu, Li Feiyang raised his thumb behind him, full of respect and pride. Darling, Feiyang, you can now have a relationship with a big family like the Li family in Yanjing. Once you recognize your own family, you may have to recognize your ancestors and return to your ancestors, and then you will be the Li family in Yanjing. When we see you, we old classmates may even call you Mr. Li. When all the students heard this, they were full of admiration. Haha, I'm just like old brother Fang Yuan at first sight. I didn't think about it at all. Li Feiyang waved his hand and pretended to be modest. Feiyang, you can know Li Fang Yuan, the young master of the Li family in Yanjing. It's really great, but it has nothing to do with Miss Qin, right? Do you mean that Qin Luotian is going to be with Li Fang Yuan? But as far as I know, Li Fang Yuan's affair with Qin Luotian hasn't been around for a day or two. Yes, Feiyang, don't be so fussy. Tell us more about it. At this time, some students asked curiously. Gossip? Let me tell you something. The news this time is not an affair. It's from my own mouth when I was drinking with brother Fang Yuan. Li Feiyang raised his eyebrows with a smile, then lowered his voice, as if very mysterious, and said, Brother Fang Yuan said, the Qin family seems to have caused a great trouble this time, and only they, the Li family, can help solve this problem. Therefore, the Li family proposed marriage to the Qin family. Although the Qin family has not spoken yet, it has basically been confirmed. I'll go. It's really big news. Feiyang, it's true that you can know this kind of news in advance. You've done a good job. It seems that this man really has to go to a big city. The news of Yanjing is better than that of Nanhai. When the class heard these words, they immediately burst into an uproar, tut-tut with emotion. The Qin family is in big trouble? The Leaf Day hears a sound, eyebrow suddenly twisted into a knot in one's heart. He felt that Li Feiyang might have lied about his relationship with Li Fang Yuan. For example, they were not brothers at all, but little brothers. But they should not have lied about the engagement. Take advantage of the danger, Li Fang Yuan, you really want to die. Yi Tian's 5 fingers suddenly pinched tightly, and his eyes passed a touch of cold light. The woman who wants to move him, Li Fang Yuan, is really tired of living. But what kind of event is it that makes even the Qin family, the whole Jiangnan family and the whole Chinese family feel that it is difficult to get married? In fact, I have to say that even if there is no such thing, Miss Qin will be with brother Fang Yuan sooner or later. The two of them, that is the absolute golden girl, 2 people together, perfect match. If you think about it, in addition to the eldest miss of the Qin family, there are several people who are worthy of my brother Fang Yuan. At this time, Li Feiyang began to put honey on his mouth, and madly flattered Li Fang Yuan. The students nodded and agreed, with a deep feeling on their face. Haha, golden boy and jade girl, perfect combination. But at this time, Yi Tian suddenly looked at Li Feiyang, with a playful smile on his face, and said coldly, Li Feiyang, do you recognize Li Fang Yuan as your brother, or do you become a dog for him? After thousands of miles, you have to blow all the things that have no shadow for him. Don't you think you are ridiculous? Brush. Yi Tian's words fall down, and Li Feiyang's face is so black that it looks like the bottom of a pot, and his cheek is a burning pain. It's not that Yi Tian's words are too harsh and hurtful, but the truth is too hurtful. Despite the demolition of his family, it seems that he has been doing well recently. But in Yanjing, he is nothing at all. Among the people who threw a few bricks in the sky and fell to death, 9 out of 10 are bigger than him. He wants to recognize his family and brother with Li Fang Yuan, but Li Fang Yuan doesn't mean that. Therefore, he can only give Li Fang Yuan when the dog, a mouth a square circle, and then Baba running around for him. However, he bullied his classmates and didn't go to Yanjing. He was not in their school. He deliberately exaggerated it. But now, be mercilessly punctured by Yi Tian, the nature on the face is to hang not to live. Yi Tian, everyone, you are too bad to say that, aren't you? Feiyang just said a few words for brother Fang Yuan, and you said that he was a dog for him. So you don't want to listen to other people's gossip about Qin Luotian, did you become a licking dog for her? At this time, Zhao Quan reaches out his hand and pats the table, looking at Yi Tian. It is obvious that this product is intended to use this opportunity to curry favor with Li Feiyang. That's right. Yi Tian, what you said just now is really a little ugly. Let's have a class. You can pour a glass of wine for Fei Yang and apologize. Yes, I vow to apologize and drink 3 drinks. For the sake of my old classmates, I've exposed it like this. As soon as Zhao Quan's voice fell, other students around him echoed and asked Yi Tian to apologize to Li Fei Yang. This world is such a reality. Even if Yi Tian drives a Land Rover and doesn't rent the car, his classmates still feel that he has no more value than Li Fei Yang when his family is bankrupt. Seeing this, Li Fei Yang leans on the broad theme and looks at Yi Tian with a playful smile, looking forward to his apology. Yi Tian's mouth is full of sneers. He doesn't care about Li Fei Yang's boasting, but he can't bear to call him a dog for his reputation as Ningyao, or Qin Luoshan. It's just a matter of watching his classmates, and his words are not so bad. Otherwise, Yi Tian doesn't mind giving this guy a more profound lesson. Li Fei Yang, are you too fussy? In those days, Yi Tian helped you so much. Now, he just said something about you. Can't you stand it? What's more, you just look like a dog's leg. After listening to these words, Chen Shishir angrily holds up injustice for Yi Tianda. At last it said. Li Fei Yang seems to have been waiting for someone to mention the old things of that year. As soon as he heard this, his face immediately sank. He padded heavily towards the table, pointed to Yi Tian, and said in a loud voice, Yi Tian, you really helped me in that year, but I ask you, are your so-called help to show your superiority, your alms above me? Charity showing superiority? It turned out that he took the help he had given him as a handout. This ridiculous inferiority in self-esteem. Hearing the sound, Yi Tian looked at Li Fei Yang. The smile on his face became more and more playful. He said faintly, if you think so, I can only say that you may really think too much. When Yi Tian helped Li Fei Yang at the beginning, he didn't think about giving alms or getting any reward from Li Fei Yang in the future. He just looked at him pitifully and wanted to pull him. But I didn't expect that after many years, these actions, in Li Fei Yang's eyes, have become the so-called alms to show his superiority. I think too much. Li Fei Yang laughs and looks at Yi Tian and says coldly, Yi Tian, you think I don't know? When you gave me the money, you thought I was a poor man. You want to use my depression to set off your excellence. You want everyone to know that Yi Tian is a good man who is good at charity. You are excellent and kind. Yi Tian listens to this question and looks at Li Fei Yang pitifully. He thought that Li Fei Yang would be rampant if he was successful. But now it seems that Li Fei Yang is not only humble, but also ungrateful. It happened that all the students were here today, so I asked you to give me a witness. I made a statistics of the money you gave me in those years. The total is 3,528 yuan. Now, I'll round it up and give you 10,000 yuan. At this time, Li Fei Yang grabs a handbag, pulls out a stack of money from it, and throws it on the ground in front of Yi Tian without even counting it. It falls all over the ground. Yi Dashan, I know your current situation. Even if you can afford Land Rover, I'm afraid you can't afford to add fuel several times. Don't hold on. Pick up the money quickly. Next to him, Li Fei Yang held his hands in front of his chest and looked at Yi Tian with a sneer. Li Fei Yang, you are disgusting. It's not a classmate party at all. It's just a show of your vanity. If I had known that, I would never have come. Chen Shishir looked at Li Fei Yang with disgust and said. At this moment, she finally confirmed what the purpose of Li Fei Yang's student party was. Not only Chen Shishir, but also a few of his classmates showed their displeasure. Li Fei Yang's actions at the moment are indeed too humiliating. Others used to help you, but now you throw money on the ground and let others bend down in front of you to pick it up. In this world, is there such a way to repay benefactor? You really think too much. If you are too boring, you can think more about how to flatter your brother Fong Yuan instead of making up stories for me. I really don't live very well now, but it's not as bad as you think. Yi Tian didn't even look at the money spilled on the ground. He said faintly. Stop deceiving yourself. Li Fei Yang laughed wildly, pointed to Yi Tian and said, I've just asked someone on the way here. After your parents died, all your family properties have been sealed up by the bank. I'm afraid this car is the last tool you can use to decorate your appearance, right? Think what you like, just be happy.
Yi Tian looks at Li Feiyang indifferently and says faintly.
He found that Li Feiyang was living in his own fantasy, constantly making up all kinds of stories for himself.
Of course, the starting point of all the stories that Li Feiyang imagined was to make up a miserable life for Yi Tian.
For this ungrateful person who lives in his own dream, Yi Tian is really not interested in waking him up.
You. Li Feiyang looked at Yi Tian as if nothing had happened, without a bit of panic, gnashing his teeth. Ding-ling-ling.
But at this time, Yi Tian's mobile phone suddenly rings, showing a strange number.
Seeing this, Yi Tian wants to hang up. It's not a debt collection call, is it? Li Feiyang glances at Yi Tian's mobile phone and sneers. You really think too much. Yi Tian looks at Li Feiyang's expectant face, shakes his head speechless, and then presses the answer button. Master Yi, I'm Long Ruyu. Are you in Huashan Banquet Hall of Nanhai Hotel? After the phone was connected, a cold female voice came from the opposite side. Yes, how do you know? The leaf day hears a sound, some surprised counter asks away. I'll be right here. I'll see you later. Lang Ruyu didn't explain too much. After a calm sentence, she hung up. What? Is debt collection coming to the hotel? Li Feiyang saw Yi Tian's stunned expression and sneered. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Almost at the moment when his voice fell, there was a knock on the door outside the box. When the students sitting at the door opened the door, a woman with a cold face, a beautiful figure and a cold temperament was coming from outside. This woman, not Lang Yu, can be who? How can this woman be so fast? When Yi Tian saw Lang Yu, he was stunned. However, his expression is not conspicuous at the moment. Lang Yu's cool appearance and cool temperament make all the boys in the box look dull. Mr. Lang, how can I help you? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. At this time, a scene unexpected to Yi Tian appeared. After Li Feiyang saw Lang Yu, he suddenly began to smile on his face. Then he nodded, stretched out his hand across the distance, and said with a bright smile. Students, I'd like to introduce Mr. Lang, the manager of Nanhai Hotel. When Li Feiyang reached out his hand, he was even more proud of his classmates. Then he nodded to Lang Ruyu and said with a smile, Mr. Lang, I'm so lucky to see you again. The appearance of Lang Ruyu really surprised Li Feiyang. However, what he can't understand is that Lang Ruyu's character is famous for her coolness. Even if her land is sold to her to open a branch, it seems that she can't come to see her in person? But although Li Feiyang doesn't understand why Lang Ruyu appears, he can be sure that Lang Ruyu's appearance must have something to do with him. Besides him, which of these students in the box can be related to Lang Ruyu? Have we met before? Lang Ruyu looks at Li Feiyang, frowns at him and says coldly. Mr. Lang, it's like this. Before, our family. Hearing this, Li Feiyang's bright smile froze immediately. After he was stunned, he wanted to explain in a hurry. However, what puzzled him was that Ting Lang Ruyu didn't seem to know him. But if it's not for him, what's Lang Ruyu doing here? It can't be said that she's coming for other people, right? Forget it. I'm not interested. But before Li Feiyang finished, Lang Ruyu suddenly raised her hand and interrupted him. Then she went to Yi Tian and bowed to him. She said respectfully, Mr. Yi, I just saw you enter the box outside. I didn't dare to recognize you, so I called to confirm. Last time you left in a hurry, today I'd like to propose a toast to you. Coax. Lang Ruyu's voice fell, and the box immediately became boiling. Almost all the students looked unbelievable. Who can imagine that Lang Ruyu is coming to Yi Tian? What's more, she was so low in front of Yi Tian. At this time, Lang Ruyu turns back and takes up a glass of wine, holding it in two hands and carefully passing it to Yi Tian. Miss Lang, you're welcome. Our classmates are gathering. I didn't expect that this is your industry. Is Yaya much better recently? Yi Tian chuckled, took the wine, looked up and drank it, politely. Thank you, Mr. Toy. Yaya is in good condition now. She has never been ill again. Lang Ruyu's face was full of gratitude and said sincerely. She has a cool personality. She treats people and things lightly and coldly.
The reason why she chose to come here in person to offer Yi Tian wine today is that, as she said, since Yi Tian's last diagnosis and treatment, Ye's condition has been getting better and better day by day. Recently, she has been able to jump and talk and laugh with other children. All this made her sincerely appreciate Yi Tian. When she saw Yi Tian in her hotel today, she naturally came to offer a toast to Yi Tian to express her gratitude and apologize for the unfriendly attitude when she first met him. This scene, see those students in the private room one by one with a look of consternation. This kind of picture was completely unexpected to them before. Lang Ruyu came for Yi Tian Lai. Moreover, she came to propose a toast to Yi Tian and thank him. Li Feiyan looked at the picture in front of him, almost unable to believe his eyes. Although Yi Tian has opened Land Rover, he thinks that it is just the only tool Yi Tian has left to decorate his appearance. But he didn't expect that Yi Tian had an intersection with such a big man as Lang Ruyu. Not only that, Lang Ruyu's attitude towards Yi Tian is still so respectful and grateful. And that expression is not disguised. Since you are all Mr. Ye's classmates, I'll take care of all the consumption today. At this time, Lang Ruyu looked into the box, looked at the waiter outside, and said, "Let the kitchen add some dishes here, and then take some bottles of the best red wine from the bar. All accounts, all go to me personally." "Yes, Mr. Lang." When the waiter heard this, he nodded in a hurry and ran to inform the kitchen and the bar. When the students heard this, they looked at Yi Tian with more blazing eyes, and their hearts were full of curiosity. They want to know how Yi Tian got Lang Ruyu's respect with his own ability after his parents died and his family company went bankrupt. Although they do not know the answer, but only from Lang Ruyu's attitude, they can still see that now in their class, the best person is still not others, or Yi Tian. As for Li Feiyang, he is nothing in front of Yi Tian. "Mr. Lang, did you recognize the wrong person?" Li Feiyang looked at the look of the students, a panic in the heart, forced out a smile, cold as Jade Road. "The wrong person?" Lang Ruyu hears the sound, glances at Li Feiyang and says, "Who are you?" "Mr. Lang, you are too expensive to forget. Maybe you don't remember. Last year, our family sold a piece of land in the newly planned business district to you to open a branch. When you went to sign the contract, I saw you from a distance." Li Feiyang now were still dare to trust big, a company careful, compliment way. "Oh, I don't remember." Cold as jade. A language falls, Li Feiyang's face immediately bulges red, which can't find a ground crack to drill in. However, he also knew that when he was standing 8 zhang away from the rostrum, how could Lang Ruyu remember him? "I don't have a good memory, so I don't care about trivial matters. But if it's an important thing, then I won't remember or admit it." At this time, Lang Ruyu calmly added a sentence. This sentence made Li Feiyang feel as if he had been slapped in the face by someone's pocket. His cheeks were red and hot. Although Lang Ruyu didn't say it clearly, it's not difficult to figure out the meaning of Lang Ruyu by combining the words before and after. Lang Ruyu means that the land sale of Li Feiyang's family is an unimportant matter. It's an unimportant person, so you can forget it at will. As for Yi Tian, she is a very important person to her, so I will never forget it wrong. "Mr. Yi, since this is a party for you and your classmates, I won't disturb you. If there's anything that's not well received, just ask the waiter. I have guests over there, so I won't accompany you. Let's go first." Lang Ruyu ignores Li Feiyang's gaffe and smiles at Yi Tian genially. Yi Tian nodded at will, indicating that she was as cold as jade. "Yi Tian, what's going on? How does this cold always look like it respects you? How do you always know this, Lang? Listen to her, you seem to have helped her? Yi Tian is Yi Tian. I know that you can't solve any problem. You will make a comeback. It's not surprising that you are still the best one among our classmates." As soon as Lang Ruyu leaves, the students immediately stare at Yi Tian. They are curious about it, but there are also many people who compliment Yi Tian. In the blink of an eye, the atmosphere inside the box suddenly changed. Yi Tian, who was originally sitting in the guest seat, suddenly sat in the master seat. As for Li Feiyang, who was really sitting on the throne, no one cares now. Damn it! Damn! This guy, why are you shaking again?
Li Feiyan looked at the crowd, like all the stars arched the moon, and arched Yi Tian in the middle. You said a word, I said a word, and his face was full of smiles and compliments. His face was livid, and his 5 fingers were holding the wine cup tightly. He just felt that his chest was stabbed like a knife. He was supposed to be the protagonist, but now he has become a supporting actor. In other words, become a foil to the main character of the clown. This kind of gap, let holding a proud attitude from him, it is unbearable. Li Feiyan, Yi Tian has such a good relationship with Mr. Lang just now. If I want to say it, I don't know why Mr. Lang bought your land because Yi Tian said good things for you in front of Mr. Lang. Why don't you give Mr. Lang a few glasses of wine and thank him for taking care of you now? When Li Feiyan is angry, Xiao Quan, who is sitting beside him, looks at Yi Tian and Li Feiyan and grits his teeth. If he makes any decision, he looks at Li Feiyan and says in a loud voice. Xiao Quan, the grandson, even rebelled. Hearing this, Li Feiyan looks at Xiao Quan, who has just been helping him. At this moment, he finally understood that feng shui really took turns. However, he turned it first and then back. Once it came back, it was equal to never moving. Xiao Quan, you have to make up to people. Don't pull me to step on something with 2 sides. Li Feiyan grabbed the wineglass and said coldly. Can I be as ungrateful as you, Li Feiyan? Yi Tian used to help you so much. Now you are proud. How do you treat him? Fortunately, Yi Tian has his own ability. Even if his family goes bankrupt, he still has such a reputation that he won't be ridiculed by you, an ungrateful upstart. Xiao Quan sneered, then raised his glass, looked at Yi Tian respectfully, and said, Yi Tian, I'm just looking down on you. I'll punish myself for 3 cups. After that, Xiao Quan raised his glass and had 3 drinks in a row. Yi Tian looks at Xiao Quan and smiles indifferently. After 200 years of cultivation, he had been used to the human feelings in the world. For Xiao Quan's action, he had no feeling how to forgive. Moreover, such a person is not worthy of his attention. Li Feiyan was so angry that he turned blue and wanted to turn around and leave. Can think of if they leave now, these people do not know how to laugh at themselves, can only suppress the anger in the heart, sit there. This series of interludes has changed the taste of the original student party. Everyone feels embarrassed. After a few rounds of wine and food, it's over. Yi Tian, when we have time, let's get together again. At that time, we won't bring some irrelevant people, which will spoil everyone's interest. Yes, Yi Tian, you will be more developed in the future, but don't forget our old classmates. Yi Tian, I'll be your friend then. You should remember to pass. Don't ignore me. When they came out of the box, the students either true or false, sent out a proposal to Yi Tian to make another appointment for the party. Some girls even asked Yi Tian to leave their mobile phone number, saying that they should contact him frequently in the future. As for how to get in touch, it's self-evident to see how the girl's eyes move. Yi Tian is proud of the scenery. As for Li Feiyan, he is lonely and neglected, just as he was in high school. Mr. Yi, is your reunion over? I have a friend here who wants to talk to you about something and see if you can help her. At this time, Lang Ruyu came out of the box beside him and looked at Yi Tian sincerely. Almost at the same time as Lang Ruyu's words fell, a beautiful woman came out of the box. The skin is like snow, the demeanor is like God, even if it is extremely cold as jade, in front of her, also pale. God, isn't this Qin Luo God? Miss Qin has come to Nanhai City. Beautiful Jiangnan is really worthy of its reputation. At the sight of this woman, the eyes of the boys in the class were dull, and there was almost a flame in their eyes. As for the girls, they were all talking with envy. Why him? She? At this time, when Yi Tian and Qin Luoshan looked at each other, their eyes could not help stagnating. No matter which one of them, I didn't expect to see each other here. Here's the chance. At the same time, Li Feiyan's eyes suddenly showed a touch of ecstasy. He felt that he had found a way to raise his eyebrows again. Sister-in-law, I didn't expect to see you here. Brother Fang Yuan asked me to say hello to you. Thinking of this, Li Feiyan's eyes suddenly changed, his mouth brimmed with a warm smile, strode to Qin Luoshan, like a very familiar person, and said hello. In his mind, although Lang Ruyu's identity is not low, it is quite different from Qin Luotian.
According to the relationship between Li Fanyuan and Qin Luotian, as Li Fanyuan's younger brother, he said hello to his future sister-in-law and called her sister-in-law ahead of time.
I think Qin Luotian will not resist.
In this way, he can not only get rid of his previous evil spirit, but also tighten his relationship with Li Fanyuan through Qin Luotian. In this way, we can kill two birds with one stone.
Sister-in-law?
But at this time, the Leaf Day hears this words, the eye ground suddenly flits a wipe to kill machine. It was not only him, but also Qin Luo's face.
Who is your sister-in-law? Did Li Fanyuan let you call it that?
He was afraid of being rejected by me, so he began to ask his dog to help him say such things.
After that, without waiting for Yi Tian to open his mouth, Qin Luotian glances coldly at Li Feiyang.
Miss Qin. When Li Feiyang heard the news, he was stunned. He knew that his flattery was probably on the horse's leg.
After swallowing his saliva, he wanted to explain something to Qin Luotian.
But Qin Luotian didn't listen to him at all. He tilted his head and said faintly to the bodyguard behind him, palm mouth.
Yes, miss.
But at this time, the famous general, nearly 1 meter 9 high, more than 200 jin, strong as a bear, strode to Li Feiyang, hands suddenly raised, slapped heavily.
Pop! With a crisp sound, Li Feiyang's whole body flew directly 1 meter away.
After hitting the ground heavily, his right cheek swelled up and his mouth was bloodshot. Even if you are a dog for others, you should take care of your mouth.
Don't talk nonsense about what you should or shouldn't say.
Qin Luotian coldly swept Li Feiyang one eye, light way.
I'm sorry, I'm wrong, Miss Qin.
Please forgive me. Li Feiyang heard the news and said nothing. He struggled to kneel down on the ground and kowtowed to Qin Luotian several times. Then he raised his hand and slapped his cheek. He is very clear that even if his family is the envy of many people, but offended the Qin family miss, it is not good. People move their fingers, just like pinch ants, play them to death. Moreover, even if Li Fanyuan learns of his infatuation with Qin Luotian in the future, he will not only say that Qin Luotian is not a god, but also punish him heavily for his self-assertion.
The slap was cruel and heavy. It was just a few breaths.
Li Feiyang's whole face was swollen like a pig's head. She is like as 2 peas, and treats her people with love, enthusiasm and fire, and takes the heart to take the lungs sincerity. Yi Tian looked at this scene, stopped the idea of teaching Li Feiyang, more happy in his heart.
You are the master Yi who helped her cure Ye as Ruyu said?
At this time, Qin Luo God went to Yi Tian and looked at him calmly.
It's just a small lift.
Yi Tian nodded with a light smile and said, if you have anything to help, just say that no matter whether I can do it or not, I will try my best.
You two know each other? Lang Ruyu looks at the familiar conversation between Yi Tian and Qin Luotian. She looks stunned. For the first time, a wave of astonishment flashed across her iceberg-like cheek.
Qin Luotian came to Nanhai City for the first time, and she has a high vision.
Lang Ruyu didn't expect that she would meet Yi Tian. Well. Qin Luo God nodded calmly. Boom.
This scene let Yi Tian around those students suddenly boiling, one by one incredible looking at Yi Tian. They did not expect that Yi Tian knew not only Lang Ruyu, but also Qin Luotian, the superior miss of Qin family.
This kind of status can only be looked up to. How could that be?
As for Li Feiyang, looking at this scene, he felt that his head, which was already a little dizzy, was buzzing at the moment. His eyes were staring at Yi Tian.
If it wasn't for the burning pain in his cheek, he couldn't believe it would be true. Jiangnan Qin family, the famous miss of Qin family, even before Yi Tianjia's bankruptcy, I'm afraid they can't explain. How can they get to know each other after bankruptcy now?
But the doubt turns to doubt, expecting the familiar attitude of Yi Tian and Qin Luotian, and thinking about his treatment, Li Feiyang feels that his hot cheek is getting more and more stingy at the moment. He blew out those cattle, in the face of reality, have been severely beaten, delusional proud of him has become a ridiculous joke. And from beginning to end, Yi Tian, who has never said anything, has become a real ox.
Yi Tian, I will make you regret what you did today.
Sooner or later, I will make you kneel in front of me and cry for mercy.
Li Feiyang tightly holds 5 fingers, looks at Yi Tian, bites his teeth, turns around and runs outside the hotel. Yi Tian, let's go first and get together again later. Thank you for your hospitality today. Everyone had a good time. See Li Feiyang's action, the rest of the students have to say goodbye to Yi Tian. Before that, those girls who had been showing their good eye to Yi Tianxia also became more and more convergent, and their eyes were a little sad. They understand that all the goddesses standing beside Yi Tian are Leng Ruyu and Miss Qin. How can they get into Yi Tian's eyes? Mr. Yi, Luotian always has some strange dreams recently, some strange places and some strange words. Do you have any solutions? After waiting for everyone to leave, Leng Ruyu looks at Yi Tianxuan and asks. Ruyu, don't help me. He can't solve my problems, and he won't help me solve them. Qin Luo God smell speech, toward Leng Ruyu waved hand, Wei. If you don't see Yi Tian in Nanhai High School, she may ask Yi Tian to help. But after her trip to Nanhai High School, she felt that all her dreams seemed to be related to Yi Tian. Even, she began to suspect that there might be a girl named Ningyao in her soul. But Yi Tian, who likes Ningyao so much, how can he help himself? Leng Ruyu hears the sound and looks at Qin Luotian strangely. He faintly feels that the relationship between Qin Luotian and Yi Tian seems to be unusual. Miss Qin, dreams hurt me so much. If you put this amulet of peachwood beside you, it can help you sleep and is good for your health. Yi Tian smiles, puts his hand into his pocket, takes out a peach amulet from the storage ring, and then hands it to Qin Luo God. Luotian, Mr. Ye's mahogany amulet is very powerful. My friend's grandfather became a vegetable before and could be awakened by it. Leng Ruyu sees this and tells Qin Luotian what happened to Ning Zhongshan in a low voice. Will you help me? Qin Luo God is not surprised that there is such a magical thing in the world. After he nods, he looks at Yi Tian in surprise and says slowly. I won't let Ning Yao get hurt. In my eyes, you are Ning Yao. Yi Tianping smiles and says slowly. As he said, maybe Qin Luotian doesn't admit that she is Ning Yao, but in Yi Tian's opinion, she is Ning Yao. He wanted Qin Luotian to have Ning Yao's memory as soon as possible, but he didn't want to do any harm to the body because of the conflict between the two memories. Since you're doing it for her, I'm not respectful. However, I still said that, I am Qin Luotian, not Ning Yao. You will be disappointed. Qin Luo God sneers, then reaches out his hand to take the peach amulet from Yi Tian's hand and puts it into his pocket. Ning Yao? Leng Ruyu is confused and feels that she can't understand the conversation between Yi Tian and Qin Luotian. But it seems that Yi Tian regarded Qin Luo God as another person. I just heard Li Feiyang say that your Qin family seems to be in some trouble. They are going to let you marry Li Fangyuan to solve the problem. I don't know if you can tell me this trouble and I'll help you solve it. At this time, Yi Tian looked at Qin Luo God and said sincerely. From the moment when he was sure that Qin Luo God was Ning Yao, he had made up his mind that in this world, in addition to himself, no one else should have Qin Luo God. Although Li Feiyang likes to boast, he can't believe other things he said, but the Qin family is the only one with high credibility. The reason is very simple. Li Feiyang doesn't dare to blow this cow. The only possibility is that he heard it from Li Fangyuan. The Qin family is not in any trouble, and I am Qin Luotian, not Ning Yao. My business has nothing to do with you. If you want to take care of it, I'll take care of it when I really become Ning Yao. Qin Luo God coldly looked at Yi Tian, after a light sentence, then said, and even if there is really trouble, I don't think it can be solved by you. Although Leng Ruyu has just said that Yi Tian has great ability, even so, Qin Luotian still does not believe that a young man from Nanhai City can solve the problems of the Qin family in Jiangnan. There is a big difference between the two. One is as big as a whale, and the other is as small as a mayfly. Let me know if you need to. Of course, I will find a way to help you solve it myself. Yi Tian was not surprised at Qin Luo's answer. He said with a smile. The amulet thing, thank you, nothing else, you can go. Qin Luo God non-committal smile, and then to leave the world. I have a hunch that we will meet again soon. Yi Tian understands that when Qin Luotian resists Ning Yao's affairs, if he contacts her too much, he will make more resistance, which may lead to uncontrollable situation.
He smiles at Qin Luoshan, and then turns to walk outside the hotel.
God Luo, how do you know him? Listen to what he means, how can he seem to recognize you as someone else? Lang Ruyu waited until Yi Tian left and asked curiously. It's a long story. Qin Luo God gave a bitter smile and looked at Yi Tian's back.
He was confused and said slowly, but maybe he didn't recognize the wrong person. What happened in Nanhai High School made her feel a trance about everything.
Didn't you recognize the wrong person?
Lang Ruyu felt that her head was not enough at the moment.
If Qin Luo is not Qin Luo, who is she? The Ningyo in Yi Tian's mouth?
But she grew up with herself. Until she came to Nanhai City, she was a good sister.
How could she be someone else?
By the way, Ruyu, since he is so powerful, why don't you let him help you cure your illness?
Maybe he will have a way. In that case, maybe you can.
At this time, Qin Luoshan shakes his head, abandons those complicated thoughts, and looks at Lang Ruyu and says in a warm voice.
Don't talk to me about that man or that thing. Now, that's good. I'm happy already.
Cold as jade smell speech, face suddenly shrouded in a layer of frost color, raised his hand, interrupted Qin Luo God has not finished words, even tone, now become a bit cold, let a person skin cold.
Qin Luoshan looked at Lang Ruyu and sighed, saying nothing more.
There are many things in my heart. But it's as cold as jade, and it's not so. She still remembers that when she was in the south of the Yangtze River, she was as cold as jade. Although her character was a little colder, when she looked back and laughed, it was as beautiful as monopolizing the spring of the south of the Yangtze River. Even Qin Luoshan himself felt inferior. But she can't remember how long she hasn't seen such a bright smile on Lang Ruyu's face since that. Instead, it's the constant frost color. At this time, Yi Tian has already walked out of the hotel.
Yi Tian.
To Yi Tian's surprise, Zhao Quan didn't leave, but was still waiting at the door of the hotel. When he saw him, he trotted over and said with a flattering smile.
What's the matter? Yi Tian looks at Zhao Quan and doubts. Yi Tian, all the words I said before were instigated by Li Feiyang.
Even the idea that Su Qing came to the party came from him. In fact, Su Qing didn't answer our phone at all. It's just a way of deliberately urging you to stay. I'm really sorry, but please don't blame me for our classmate. Xiao Quan gives Yi Tian a flattering look. After throwing all the previous things on Li Feiyang, his face suddenly becomes mysterious. He lowers his voice and says, but you should be careful recently. When I just came out, I heard Li Feiyang talking to someone on the phone, as if he mentioned Miss Qin and you. Li Feiyang is on the phone and mentions Qin Luoshan and himself. Yi Tian hears the sound, and his eyes change a little. After the change, he immediately realizes that Li Feiyang's phone call should be to Li Fan Yuan. As for what he did, it was nothing more than stirring up dissension and adding fuel to the story about himself and Qin Luo God. However, Li Feiyang may never think of it. For today's Yi Tian, he is not afraid that Li Fan Yuan won't find himself, just afraid that he won't find himself. Well, I see. Yi Tian looks at Zhao Quan and smiles. Zhao Quan is not a good bird either. He helped Li Feiyang at first, but now he betrays Li Feiyang. This kind of double-faced man is no better than the ungrateful Li Feiyang. Hey, I just can't stand Li Feiyang's way of being successful. It's good that Yi Tian doesn't care about what happened just now. I'll go first. Seeing this, Zhao Quan was relieved. He rushed to Yi Tian with a smile and then turned to leave. Li Fan Yuan, you'd better come and find the trouble for me quickly, and let me know what happened to Qin Luoshan. After glancing at Zhao Quan's back, Yi Tian looks up at the sky curtain and sneers. A moment later, Yi Tian went back to the rented house and sat in the eyes of the array, practicing quietly. What makes Yi Tian feel a little strange is that the aura drawn by the spirit-gathering array today is not as peaceful as it used to be, but as strong and weak as the tide, as affected by some unknown force. When the night falls and the stars rise, Yi Tianfang's mobile phone suddenly rings. Glancing over, the screen is a strange number, from Yan Jing. Fast enough to find your own number in such a short time? Yi Tian glanced at the mobile phone, gave a light smile, pressed the answer key, and calmly said, "What's the matter? Are you Yi Tian of Nanhai?" Soon, a young man's voice came over the phone. The voice, slightly mocking and pondering, such as every word, is sending out the contempt and disdain of the superior to the inferior. But this words, let Yi Tian Yu hair confirm, the person opposite the telephone, is Li Fang Yuan.
Yes? What's the matter? Yi Tian Light Way. Nanhai is a good place.
Although it's a little remote, it has a good scenery and a good climate.
It's not as noisy and impetuous as Yanjing. It's quiet.
It's a good place to live or die.
Li Fang Yuan is careless.
Yi Tian chuckles.
Li Fang Yuan deliberately puts life and burial together, which should be a hint and a reminder to him. The little one has to have the consciousness of the little one.
The world of the big one can't be touched by the little one. Even if you step in occasionally, if you don't take it back in time, an ant crawls into the elephant group.
You should think about the result. Li Fang Yuan saw that Yi Tian didn't have any intention to admit defeat and beg for mercy.
He gradually lost his patience. His tone of voice was indifferent and his speech was more direct.
Ants? What if it's a mountain ant crawling into the elephant herd? Yi Tian chuckles a light way.
The mountain emperor ant is a unique creature of the purple spirit star in the square-inch spirit domain. Although it belongs to ants and insects, its head is comparable to the size of whales on Earth, and it has great power and can move mountains.
Not to mention the little elephant, even the friars in Jindanjing dare not conflict with him. Mountain ant, what is that?
Yi, I tell you, don't make jokes there.
Ben doesn't have so much patience. But Li Fang Yuan never heard of this strange creature. He only thought that Yi Tian was deliberately playing tricks on him. After a sneer, he said in a deep voice, I don't care if you really don't understand what I just said or if you don't understand me, but I'll tell you more frankly. Luotian has Luotian's life. You have your heaven and earth. You two belong to different worlds. You'd better take care of yourself. If you keep pestering her, there will be unpredictable things. You may not know that I am very curious. The more unpredictable things are, the more I like them. Yi Tian chuckles 2 times, carelessly light way. I thought you were just wishful thinking, but now it seems that you really don't know what to do. Since you like unpredictability, wait and see. But I advise you not to move, since I can know your phone number. Even if you move, I can also know where you live. If you keep it honest, you can have a good time. Hear Yi Tian words, Li Fang Yuan voice a cold, quickly hang up the phone. I want to see what you want me to do. Yi Tian smiles indifferently, throws his mobile phone to one side and continues to practice. A night without words, soon to the next morning. Ding-ling-ling just at dawn, Yi Tian's mobile phone suddenly rings. This Li Fang Yuan is fast enough. When Yi Tian hears the news, he thinks that Li Fang Yuan has taken action and called to scare himself. However, after picking up his mobile phone, he finds that it's Fang Zhong's number. Mr. Yi, I've arrived at the Feilai Peak in Linen. It's a bit troublesome. Now that Feilai Peak is surrounded by the Qin family's racecourse in Jiangnan. I can't enter it unless I become a member of the racecourse. However, their membership is a recommendation system, which is troublesome. I have to find a way to find someone to introduce me to the club. After the phone was connected, Fang Zhonggong said respectfully. Feilai has become the forbidden place of the Qin family in the south of the Yangtze River? Yi Tian's eyes changed slightly when he heard the sound. He did not think of this situation. Master, it's me who is not good at doing things. Don't worry. I'll get the identity of that member as soon as possible. If I can't make it, I'll go in at night and see the situation. Fang Zhong saw that Yi Tian didn't speak. He thought he was disappointed. He apologized in a hurry. Speaking of it, this is the first task that Yi Tian gave him, but he failed to finish it successfully. This is really a little sorry for Yi Tian. Don't worry about it. Try to find a way. If you really can't get the identity of a member, tell me again. I'll help you find a way. The leaf day hears a sound, this just returned to God, smiling to comfort a square. Even if the secret of Feilai Peak is really discovered by those mountain people, it is not easy for them to use their eyesight to break through the field array that covers Feilai Peak.
Good. My subordinates will try their best to enter the peak as soon as possible.
Fang Zhong hears the news, which confirms that Yi Tian is not disappointed with himself.
He takes a long breath and shows his determination. Then he hangs up the phone.
Dong.
But almost at the same time as the phone hung up, along the door, suddenly came the sound of heavy objects landing.
Yi Tian, get out quickly and kneel down to die. Then, a low roar of anger rang out. Here we go. Yi Tian's eyes were cold.
He pushed the door and swept out of the yard. He saw a bald middle-aged man standing in the middle of the yard. From below his chin, there were red and gorgeous tattoos everywhere. He looked very ferocious.
I really dare to come out.
It seems that I'm very brave. After the tattooed middle-aged man glanced at Yi Tian, he looked at Yi Tian in a murderous way and said calmly, for the sake of your courage, I'll give you a chance to choose your own way of death. One is accidental electrocution and death, the other is fire and coke burning. Hurry up, I suggest you choose the former, you can leave a whole body. Choose quickly. Tattoo middle-aged people coldly urge more than tone indifference, as if with him, Yi Tian is like a mole ant, life and death with him, just a trivial thing.
Don't you think you're ridiculous when you're in the middle of a yellow class? Besides, as a mountain dweller with high self-esteem, it's a shame for you to be a dog biter for a rich man? Yi Tian looks at the tattooed middle-aged man and sneers. You know I'm from the mountain, and you know my accomplishments. After the tattooed middle-aged man glanced at Yi Tian, his eyes flashed by the color of surprise, his 5 fingers suddenly squeezed tightly, and he yelled, however, even if you know what these are, killing you is no different from crushing a bedbug. Tai. Tattoo of middle-aged people, straight from Yi Tian, do not want to waste half a bit of time. Bang!
The next moment, however, his body flew upside down. Yi Tian stood in the same place, motionless, fists flat forward. Tattooed middle-aged people fly directly into the air, right arm fracture, mouth blood foam, stained in those gorgeous red tattoos. It is particularly ferocious.
You are also from the mountain.
Tattooed middle-aged people lie on the ground, coughing up blood, faces full of shock. The strength of Yi Tian's fist frightened him. He was a mountain man in the middle of the yellow class. However, he was almost killed by his opponent with one blow. It was really frightening. And this kind of boxing power, not only cannot be possessed by ordinary people, even if it is not easy to mountain people, must be a master.
Wrong, I'm from heaven.
Yi Tian chuckles, jumps up in the air, and then steps on the tattooed middle-aged man.
Run. Run right away. The farther you run, the better.
Looking at Yi Tian's fierce body in the air, if the tattooed middle-aged man is struck by lightning, his body trembles without any hesitation, and he turns around to escape from the yard.
Bang!
But although his speed is fast, Yi Tian's speed is faster. Before he even has time to turn around, Yi Tian has already reached his body, and then flies out, hitting his chest. Poof! Tattooed middle-aged people such as lightning, people fly upside down again, heavily hit the wall of the hospital, coughing up blood. He felt that his throat was painful and salty, and the blood was like a spring, gurgling from the viscera to his mouth, ears and nose, and the chest pain was so severe that it could not be further aggravated. What's more, he felt that his cultivation, like flowing water, was spreading out along his body.
It is obvious that Yi Tiangong's foot not only hurt him, but also wasted his cultivation.
All these make him look at Yi Tian in horror, like facing a real god.
Since you are Li Fan Yuan's person, you should know something secret. Tell me, what's the trouble with the Qin family now? Yi Tian looked down at the tattoo of middle-aged people, light way. I don't know.
Tattooed middle-aged people shake their heads in a hurry. Ground is full of loss.
This guy's cultivation level is too low to touch the high-level secret. Yi Tian hears the sound and frowns slightly. He can see that this guy doesn't seem to be lying. Master, I know I'm wrong. Please forgive me.
I swear that I will never dare to be an ordinary person again. Tattooed middle-aged people no longer have the previous rampant and arrogant, looking at Yi Tian, begging repeatedly, hoping that Yi Tian can raise his hand, give him a chance of life, even if it is an ordinary person, it is better than death.
Excuse me? Don't you like to let people choose to die? Then I'll give you 2 choices. First, let me kick you again. Second, let me give you a sword. Choose quickly.
Tian smiles coldly, like the words of the tattooed middle-aged man before, letting the man choose his own way of death.
Aye.
Tattoo middle-aged body shake if sieve chaff, after a long time, shaking way, I choose to get a foot.
Bang.
When Tian hears the sound, he flies up and tattoos on the middle-aged man's chest.
Bang.
A foot fell down, along the tattoo of the middle-aged man's chest immediately appeared a deep concave footprints. People even Stuffy Hum did not have time to hum, the body will be soft lying on the ground, no breath.
Blame yourself.
Tian sweeps his eyes at the tattooed middle-aged man, then takes out the acid from the storage ring and drops a drop on him. In the blink of an eye, the tattooed middle-aged man's body emits a stream of blue smoke, and then turns into black ash. Tian connects a pipe on the tap, holds one end, and flushes it all into the sewer. He doesn't like to kill, but from the tattooed middle-aged man's face to face and let him choose the way of death, this guy is obviously not so kind. He is estimated to have a lot of blood debts on his hand. If we let him go, those people who died in this man's hand will not die in vain.
It's necessary to eliminate evil.
Li Fangyuan, continue to send people, I will make you regret coming to this world.
Tian looks up and looks at the rising sun.
His eyes are indifferent.
Ding-ling-ling almost at the same time, Tian's mobile phone rings, which is Li Fangyuan's number. Call me early in the morning. Tian casually pressed the answer button, light way. Li Fangyuan, who was on the opposite side of the phone, was obviously shocked.
He seemed to suddenly sit up from the bed, and it was quiet for a moment. After a long time, he slowly said, "Where's the fire?"
"What's the fire?" Tian said with a smile, "Oh, you say that tattoo is a big guy. That guy is very funny.
In the early morning, he rolled over the courtyard wall of my house, his feet slipped and stepped on the air, and his neck fell into the sewer of my house and broke. I'm worried that I don't know how to deal with his body. It turns out that your man, come and collect the corpse for him, and put it in my house.
It's really unlucky. Huoming is dead." Li Fangyuan was completely silent, and his face was changeable.
At this moment, he could not calm down, he thought that Huoming could get rid of Tian today, and successfully forged it into an accident, just like Huoming had done countless repetitions for himself in the past. But who can think that Huoming died in Tian's hand? Well, you can use this kind of rubbish that can be trampled over the wall.
Are you a pig brain, Mr. Li?
Oh, no, it's insulting to say you're a pig brain.
Tianjian was silent for a long time, smiling lightly.
You're looking for death next time on the phone, you will cry to me for mercy. Li Fangyuan gritted his teeth, coldly dropped a sentence, and then quickly hung up. Tian puts down his cell phone and sneers at the corner of his mouth.
In his own identity, can he be afraid of the threat of Li Fangyuan?
However, from the meaning of Li Fangyuan's words, it is not difficult to see that the Li family seems to have a close relationship with the mountain people. Otherwise, even a Li Fangyuan who has not officially taken over the family will not be able to transfer the mountain people at will. This makes Tian's heart can't help but doubt whether the troubles of the Qin family are related to the mountain people.
However, Tian is not in a hurry.
Since Li Fangyuan has fixed his eyes on him, the truth will come to the surface sooner or later.
It's a quiet day.
In the evening, Tian had finished his meal from his family and went back to the rented house.
As soon as he sat down to practice, someone broke into the yard. "You are Tian?
Kneel down and die." The visitor was a young man in his 30s. He was very tall, and his momentum was like a sharp sword. He felt very aggressive. As for cultivation, it is much stronger than Huoming, which is the later cultivation of Xian level.
Can you put it another way? Don't you think it's a cliché to make people hear the cocoon?
Tian Tan, looking at the young man helplessly, said.
"Go to hell."
Young man is very arrogant, a word down, jump up, with a fierce wind, a blow to Tian's heart, obviously moved to kill. It's not wise to shout, fight and kill.
Tian shakes his head and stands still.
When the young man comes near, he clenches his fist and meets it with his opponent's fist.
Ah!
The young man let out a howl, and his whole body flew back. When he retreated, along the position of his right fist, blood cracks spread rapidly at the speed visible to the naked eye until they penetrated his right shoulder.
So weak and so arrogant, since they all choose to be dogs, isn't it good to hold their tails? With a sneer, Tian took a step and smashed the young man's dantian with a heavy fist.
After abandoning his cultivation, he stepped on his chest with one foot and said with a condescending light, "Tell me what trouble the Qin family has encountered.
If you can tell me, I may be able to give you a way to live."
It seems that the Qin family is in trouble with a sect on the mountain, one of the 3 sects and 6 sects, so they are in a critical situation.
But I only heard about it by accident, and I just heard about it.
I don't know which of the 3 schools of 6 families the Qin family got into trouble with, and why they got into trouble with each other. As for the reason why the Qin family wanted the help of the Li family, it was because there was a big tree behind the Li family to enjoy the cool. The Li family was not only attached to Qingming sect, but also their eldest son, Li Miran, now worshipped by Qingming sect and ranked first among the 7 sons of Qingming sect. The patriarch thinks highly of it, and now it has become the young patriarch of Qingming sect.
Qingming sect, Qingming 7 sons, little lord? Tian suddenly, he said, with the identity of Li Fanyuan, how can we transfer the mountain people so easily?
It turns out that he has a good family and a good brother with his back against a big tree to enjoy the cool. After all, Qingming sect is the strongest sect on the mountain today. If Li Miran has the possibility to become the leader of Qingming sect, it means that he has the potential to become the first person on the mountain.
If a person gets the right way, he will be promoted to heaven.
Even if he is a fool in his family, he may not be surrounded by people every day. Master, all I know is here.
Please let me go. I'm just a casual practitioner. In order to have more cultivation resources, I have to rely on Li Fanyuan. He is the culprit.
The young man wails for mercy and puts all the blame on Li Fanyuan, hoping that Tian can raise his hand.
In order to improve your accomplishments, you can do whatever you want.
Tian glanced at the young man lightly, printed his palm forward, and fell on the young man's chest.
Poop!
In a flash, the young man fell to the ground, bleeding from the 7 orifices, no breath. Tian feels that the murderous spirit of this man is heavier than that of Huaming.
It can be seen that there are many people who died in the hands of the goods. Such a person, how can let go? A few minutes later, after dealing with everything, Tian went back to the living room and quietly looked at his mobile phone.
After a while, Tian reached for his mobile phone and calmly said, "Your eyes are still not good. This time, when the person you picked up came down from the wall of my courtyard, he also hit the sewer and broke his neck."
I said, "You repeatedly sent people to my home to commit suicide, what do you mean? Are you going to scare me to death by their suicide?" On the other side of the phone, Li Fanyuan was completely silent.
He is not a fool, of course, very clear, the so-called what neck fall sewer break suicide, pure Tian and nonsense, it is this guy killed them. Just, fire bright dead also just, he how all didn't expect, the second time send this guy, unexpectedly also be killed by Leaf Day. You know, the young man who came here for the second time, even among the mountain people, is an ordinary master.
Tian, don't give me that. Do you think I'm a fool? How deep is the sewer in your house? Is it a big pit that will break one's neck one by one? A moment later, Li Fanyuan burst out in an angry voice.
Well, how do you know that? There's a big pit in front of my house.
They're not the only ones who have fallen into it. Tian throws his mobile phone away from his ears.
When Li Fanyuan's voice falls, he smiles.
Wheezing hearing this, Li Fanyuan pinches his fingers tightly, breathes heavily and thickens. His eyes almost burst out fire.
He would like to appear in front of Tian and crush him to death.
Tian, I'll give you one last chance. Don't approach Luotian anymore.
Otherwise, I promise that the next time you call, you will cry and beg for mercy. After a long time, Li Fanyuan's face was cold and he threatened every word. Li Fanyuan, I also advise you to stop harassing Qin Luotian and delete the rubbish you asked people to write on the internet. Otherwise, when I see you, there will be such rubbish on the internet, and I will make you howl miserably.
Tian smiles indifferently and replies coldly. You. Li Fanyuan was furious. He stood up and was about to break out.
A little boy in the backwater of Nanhai City dares to talk to himself like this. Doo-doo-doo-doo, but before his words fall, he hears the busy tone of Yi Tian hanging up on the phone. How dare you hang up on me? Li Fangyuan's eyes were red, his fingers were pinched tightly, and he roared like thunder. A humble mole ant in Nanhai City dare to be so arrogant in front of him. Without any hesitation, Li Fangyuan picked up his cell phone again and dialed again. But only 2 rings. Yi Tian, who is no longer interested in talking nonsense with him, hangs up his mobile phone directly. I want you to die. I want to torture you to make you kneel in front of me and beg me to kill you. Li Fangyuan listened to the busy sound, holding his mobile phone and smashing it heavily on the ground. At the same time, his eyes were red and he wrote every word. At the same time, in the rental house, Yi Tian did not pay attention to Li Fangyuan's affairs, but held the exquisite ball from mandala in his hand. After he came back from Huanggangshan, he would spare some time every day to explore this exquisite ball with his mind and think about the way to open it. Today, he finally has a full grasp of it. Xie. Yi Tian sits in the eye of the array with his knees crossed. After breathing for a moment, he pinches the seal ju with both hands and strikes it towards the void in the air. When each seal ju is struck, there will be a ripple visible to the naked eye in the void. After nearly 100 times, he gently rebukes, hum. Words fall. He entered the air of those injue, immediately like falling petals rain, flashing light fluorescence, suddenly fell on the exquisite ball. Creak creak, the falling of each seal makes Linglong ball give out a kind of grinding sound. A little later, the exquisitely carved ball slowly opened and turned into a copper round plate, which was spread out on the tea table. In the center of the round plate, there was a folded gold foil. Yi Tian is not in a hurry to get it. Instead, he takes a close look at the foil with his mind and confirms that there is nothing hidden in it. After that, he picks up the golden foil. The golden foil is very thin. When it is spread out, it is a piece of golden paper. On the top, a simple line is used to carve out a trend chart of mountains and rivers. Not only that, but also in a position in this mountain and river map, it is carved with a ghost face symbol that looks like crying instead of crying and looks like smiling instead of laughing. This is the map of the treasure? Yi Tian stares at the gold foil and looks at it carefully. His brow locks. He can see that the map engraved on the gold foil is just the trend of a certain mountain and river, which is not complete. Therefore, when there is no accurate location, it is extremely difficult to find the grimace mark through the above mountain and river geographical map. The only one who knows the location of the treasure in this map is probably the mysterious dragon head of Tiangong. Just looking at the ghost face symbol that seems to cry but not cry and smile but not smile, Yi Tian doubts that the things hidden in this map are treasure in the end. Moreover, I don't know why, he always felt that the symbol was familiar. He seemed to have seen it when. But for a moment, he couldn't remember when it was. It should have been a long time ago. But what is certain is that the place where he saw the symbol should not be on the earth, but in the square-inch spiritual realm. Qingming blessed land, Qingming sect grimace, the stone statue of Fanzi. Is there some connection between the earth long ago and the square-inch spiritual realm? Yi Tian is puzzled and feels that he has discovered some secrets. Ding-ling-ling, at this time, Yi Tian's mobile phone suddenly rings. He thought it was Li Fangyuan's harassing call again, but his eyes glanced by and saw that it was Yan Bing. Thinking of the woman's absence from class last time, Yi Tian pressed the answer button. Come to the school gate. I'll wait for you here. Let's go to the airport. The Lingxi Yufeng Fair will start the day after tomorrow. As soon as the phone was connected, Yan Bing's voice came over. Isn't it more than half a month before the fair? Why is it so early all of a sudden? Yi Tian frowned and doubted. Recently, something happened on the mountain, so the time of the fair was suddenly advanced. We'll talk about it in detail when we meet. Yan Bing's tone is not right. She doesn't talk glibly with Yi Tian as usual. Instead, she says 2 words and hangs up the phone. What's the matter with the mountain, which makes the time of the fair advance? Hearing this, Yi Tian is curious. He takes the key to the car and Xiaoli Zi and is ready to go out. But after 2 steps, he suddenly comes up with something quite important. Leave a note, lest Li Fangyuan's grandson think that the emperor is afraid, or bother to find the emperor.
With a light smile, Tian took a pen and paper, brushed the pen and wrote down the 16 characters. There is a hole in the door, be careful to die, you have the courage to grow, see you in 5 days later, and pasted them on the front door of the living room. The people sent by Li Fangyuan are unscrupulous. They are bound to break into the yard. If they see the note and leave honestly, that's all, but if you don't go, you still want to harm him, Tian, then wait to bear the consequences. A few minutes later, Tian gives the little chestnut to the cicada to take care of him, and tells him that before he comes back, he'd better not go to the yard to practice boxing. He doesn't leave until the little girl nods her head. The people Li Fangyuan sent are not good at fighting. If they run into cicada and practice boxing in their own yard, they may attack cicada and take her to coerce them into submission. In that case, it would be a disaster for the cicada. Half an hour later, Tian arrived at the gate of Nanhai University, where Yen Bing had been waiting. But in addition to Yen Bing, she also has a tall old man with silver hair, but red face, 2 long eyebrows, wearing a white tang suit, who is quite dignified. Prefecture-level peak. Tian just glanced at it and felt the cultivation breath of Shomei. He was the most powerful of all the mountain people he had ever seen. You are Tian? When Tian got out of the car, Shomei immediately glanced up and down at him, then with a strong pickiness in his eyes, he said, "It's me." Tian nodded to the old man, arched his hand, looked at Yen Bing and said, "Don't you know who this old man is? I'm Chiu Changchun, Binger's master." Shomei old man calmly opened his mouth, then put his hands behind him, and raised his head at a 45-degree angle. Yuguan looked at Tian, waiting for Tian to bow. "It's Mr. Chiu." Hearing the words, Tian arched his hand to Chiu Changchun, then turned his head and looked at Yen Bing. He doubted, why did Lingshou Peak Trade Fair suddenly advance half a month? Yen Bing also doesn't speak, just anxiously and flurriedly toward Tian, toward Chiu Changchun their new mouth. Tian's face is at a loss. He doesn't understand what Yen Bing means. "Binger, are you confused? How did you choose such a rude boyfriend? The first time I saw your teacher, I didn't even worship him." And at this time, Chiu Changchun is toward Tian mercilessly swept an eye, turn ahead to strict icy cold voice scold away. I'm going to so it is when Tian hears the speech, he suddenly realizes why Chiu Changchun just looked forward to it, and Yen Bing's expression is so strange. After a long time, it turned out that Yen Bing had spread the lie that she was her boyfriend to her master. I'm afraid that's why Yen Bing didn't have the same glib on the phone as before, but urged herself to come quickly. Tian, the tokens we used to go to the fair were all bought by master in exchange for human feelings. He thought so much about us. I know you must have been too nervous just now. Please give a gift to the old man as soon as possible. Yen Bing sees this and looks for help to Tian. Thank you, Senior Gaoi. Tian frowned and wanted to salute Chiu Changchun. Well, I can't stand your great courtesy. But before Tian raised his hand, Chiu Changchun jumped to the side, avoided the ceremony and said coldly, "Since I can't afford it, I'll forget it." Tian sees this, a light smile, directed at Yen Bing to see an eye, signal oneself also have no way. Yen Bing sees this, in the heart secretly complains incessantly. Although Chiu Changchun's name carries the word spring, his temper is as hot as summer. Moreover, he has a high status. Only a few people are higher than him in the clan. Almost all his disciples will pay homage to him after they see him. And he has no father or mother since he was a child. Chiu Changchun brought him up. In Chiu Changchun's eyes, since Tian is his boyfriend, he is Tian's father-in-law. Now, when Tian saw his father-in-law, he didn't even have the courtesy. Of course, he didn't like it. But the key point is that Tian is also a bad-tempered man and will not compromise at all. These two people put together is the tip of the needle to the wheat, who will not compromise to who. Good boy, you can really climb along the pole. I can't stand it, so you won't be polite? At this time, Chiu Changchun blows his nose, stares at Tian and shouts angrily. The elder said that I can't stand it. Can I force others into difficulties? Leaf Day picks eyebrow to smile, light way. What if I can afford it now? Chiu Changchun blows those two eyebrows and stares at Tian. He sneers. Sorry, I'm late. I'm not in a good mood now. I don't want to give gifts to others. Yi Tianzhen didn't eat Zhou Changchun's way, and he looked indifferent. If it wasn't for the fact that Zhou Changchun got him a token for the trade fair, he would not give it to Zhou Changchun just now. Although Zhou Changchun is old, he is not as old as Yi Tian. As for cultivation, he is not much higher than Yi Tian. Moreover, as Emperor Dan for so many years, he has long been used to other people's giving gifts to himself, rather than giving gifts to others himself. Good boy, with character, dare to challenge me. Don't you want to compete with me as well as challenge me? Zhou Changchun hears Yi Tian's words and laughs angrily. He stares at Yi Tian and says fiercely, I don't mind if you want to do it. Yi Tian shrugs his shoulders, smiles calmly and says faintly, he has never been blackmailed, let alone Yan Bing's boyfriend. Even if he is Yan Bing's boyfriend, he is still so when he encounters such a thing. Master, what are you doing? There are so many people at the gate of the school. Will you let me stay in the school? You always say that you love me the most. Is that the way to fight and kill with my boyfriend? Yan Bing sees a bad situation and becomes a peacemaker in a hurry. Don't worry. I won't fight with him. I'll fight with him. If he can convince me, don't say that I won't worship him when I see him in the future, even if I do. Zhou Changchun is obviously stubborn. When he hears Yan Bing's words, he still stares at Yi Tian and provocatively says, boy, I say so. You won't be scared to pee your pants, will you? Ha ha. With a smile, Yi Tian quietly watched Zhou Changchun's performance. Binger, do you see the boy's attitude? Just like him, if I don't teach him a lesson, doesn't he think I'm weak and deceiving? Seeing this, Zhou Changchun gritted his teeth and said coldly to Yan Bing. Then his right hand flashed out and stretched out toward Yi Tian, saying, boy, I don't bully you too much. Let me shake my hand and let me see your strength. But I'm ahead of you. If I pinch you and cry or make a painful pee, don't blame me for making you lose face in front of Binger. My kidney is very good, but you're old. You must have kidney deficiency. If you want to drain along your trousers, don't blame me for making you lose face in front of your apprentices. Yi Tian is neither humble nor arrogant, and then firmly holds Zhou Changchun's right hand. Sharp-toothed boy. Zhou Changchun sneer, palm contact moment, suddenly force, want to give the boy a little color to see. Gee. But the next second, Zhou Changchun's face flashed a different color. I saw that after he used 70% of his strength, he didn't squeeze the young man's hand in front of him. That hand is so hard, just like the pure iron that has been tempered for thousands of years. If you only have such a little strength, then I think you may have no face to be a master for Yan Bing in the future. Yi Tian toward Zhou Changchun calm smile, light way. Smelly boy, I only used 20% of my strength to try you. I'm going to raise my tail to the sky. Look, I'm not going to make you diabetes insipidus after I put out a lot of strength. When Zhou Changchun heard this, he could not help but put on a look of indifference, and suddenly increased his strength to 10%. Hiss, the peak of prefecture level is really extraordinary. It's powerful enough. Yi Tian's strength suddenly increased, and his eyes suddenly changed. He immediately felt that his whole right hand was crushed by a big roller. From skin to flesh, and then to bones, he felt a terrible pressure. Even his ears could vaguely hear the slight squeezing sound of bones when they were subjected to a very strong external force. He had no doubt that if it wasn't for himself, any mountain people under the prefecture-level peak would be pinched by Zhou Changchun's thunder. I'm afraid that a pair of palms would be pinched into noodles without bones. Boy, I've only used 30% of my strength. Why do you look like you can't stand it? In this way, for Binger's sake, I won't let you pee in pain. Kneel down and kowtow to me for mercy, and I'll let you go. Seeing Yi Tian's expression, Zhou Changchun thought that Yi Tian was going to be unable to hold on. He was very happy and said with a smile. Haha, if you only have so little strength, it's my turn to do it. But to Zhou Changchun's surprise, under his heavy pinch, the corner of Yi Tian's mouth still has a touch of radian, and the tone does not tremble and change at all. This kid, how can he be so tough? This scene greatly surprised Zhou Changchun.
He thought, his 10% force suddenly pinched down. Tian must cry father call Nyang repeatedly beg for mercy, and until then, Yan Bingsi is ugly, certainly will not choose in this no manners stinky boy together. But now it seems that I can't conquer him. It's fake. Yes, this boy must be pretending. I think he's going crazy with pain in his heart. But he's still pretending to be calm. How can he call himself? But soon, an idea appeared in Xiao Changchun's heart, and then he became more firm. Why don't you take out the remaining 70% of your strength? But at this time, Yi Tian was looking at Xiao Changchun and asked calmly. Haha, I'll let you have a look. Xiao Changchun boasted without a draft, but his face suddenly became dignified. After a few breaths, he pretended to make up for the remaining 70% of his strength. Now that you can't do more, it's my turn. Yi Tian chuckled, and then his eyes suddenly turned to Lin, and then the mana in Dan Tian surged, and he suddenly focused on the right palm. I wipe. Just for a moment, Xiao Changchun's eyelids immediately vibrated wildly. At that moment, he felt as if his hand had been stopped on it by a 100-ton heavy truck, and the bones of his whole hand seemed to break into pieces. Wipe, why is this boy so strong? At the same time, Xiao Changchun tried his best to keep his face calm, trying to hold on to it. If you can't hold on, please beg for mercy. I can let you go. At this time, Yi Tian looked at Xiao Changchun, light way. Can't hold it? Haha, boy, you underestimate me too much, don't you? I tell you, don't say it's your one hand, even if it's two hands together, frowning can be regarded as me losing. Although Xiao Changchun's swearing words came out in his heart, he still showed his noble demeanor. Really, I can only add more weight. I must keep on doing well and don't lose face in front of the land. Yi Tian looks at Xiao Changchun and smiles quietly. I'll go. Didn't the boy really put out all his strength just now? Is there any strength left? When Xiao Changchun heard Yi Tian's words, his heart sank and he was a little flustered. You know, just this strength, he can still hold on. If you add force, he will really can't stand it. However, he felt that this strength should have been the limit of Yi Tian. But now listen to the meaning of Yi Tian's words, the fact does not seem to be so. The boy is calling me. He must not have that ability. He just wants to play psychological warfare with me. Unfortunately, I'm from the past, and I don't like the way stinky boys do. But soon, Xiao chuckled in his heart, and determined that Yi Tian was just as he had been before. He was putting on airs and couldn't bring out his extra strength. I wipe it. But just within a second, the expression on Xiao Changchun's face suddenly solidified, and the smile in his heart suddenly stopped. Instead, it was a silent howl. At this moment, he clearly felt that the strength of Yi Tian's forceful pinching really increased a few points. Although it wasn't much, it was like the last straw that killed the camel. That kind of feeling directly pierced his body's tolerance of pain, made him want to open his mouth and howl, made him want to shake his body, and made his sphincter begin to shake violently. His old body felt moist. How can this boy have so much strength at such a young age? Xiao Changchun tried his best to keep his face unchanged, but he complained bitterly in his heart. His legs were shaking wildly. In addition to suffering, his heart was full of confusion. If you can't hold on, please forgive me. I can consider letting you go. Yi Tian ponders looking at Xiao Changchun, light way. Old man can't hold? Haha, boy, I'm afraid you're suffering from hysteria. Xiao Changchun gnashed his teeth, but there was more shivering and trembling in his voice. There is something wrong with Master's voice. As soon as Xiao Changchun's words fall, Yan Bing looks at him in amazement. He clearly finds that Xiao Changchun's voice is trembling at the moment. This kind of condition, just in Leaf Day body, but didn't appear. Is it true that the master at the top of the prefecture level is not Yi Tian's opponent in terms of palm power alone? This scene, even let Yan Bing in the heart can't help but come up with a thought that is absurd incomparable. In that case, I'll have to work harder. Yi Tian light smile, 5 fingers slowly pinch tight. Damn it! This boy is really capable. After a word, Xiao Changchun immediately felt that the terrible force he felt in his hand had really increased a little bit. Although it was weaker than what he had just felt, he knew very well how difficult it was for him to squeeze another little bit of strength out of his body to break through the shackles and get promotion under such a situation that he was almost at the top of his strength. Of course, what he knows better is that the previous increase in strength has crushed his old camel, and now the increase has made him completely unable to resist. However, as a teacher's dignity, Xiao Changchun really did not want to ask for mercy. But just a few seconds later, Xiao Changchun, who was fighting with both legs, felt that the faint collapse was getting stronger and stronger. He was on the verge of bursting out. He could only show his teeth and squeeze out a smile and said, "Little son, strength not bad, only more than me poor, it's so close." "Well, I'll forgive you and let bygones be bygones." "Oh? It's still a little bit short. Then I'll try again. Can I make up for it by adding some strength?" The leaf day picks eyebrow a smile, pretends to want to continue to send the appearance of strength. "I wipe." When Xiao Changchun heard this, his legs trembled, and he almost didn't kneel on the ground. Now, he is just a little bit short of coming out. "Brother, good brother, old brother knows it's wrong. Who are we brothers with? Why do we have to fight so hard? Let me go, old brother." Xiao Changchun shivered and immediately put up a flattering smile on his face. He flattered him and said, "If you really can't, I'll ask you to call me brother, you call me brother. Anyway, it's both brothers." "Whose brother? Whose brother? What's the matter?" "Master, you've accepted me." What's more, he even called Yi Tian his apprentice son-in-law as his brother, and even offered to be his brother. Yen Bing stares at this scene. If she doesn't hear these words, she can't believe it. Shifu, who has always been irritable and stubborn, bows to others one day. "Little brother, let me relax, old brother." At this time, Xiao Changchun's legs were tightly clamped, his body was like a snake, twisting back and forth, praying for mercy. At this moment, he is really ready to come out. The old man is joking. "How can we be brothers for our age?" Yi Tian chuckled, and then slowly released Xiao Changchun's hand. Wheezing for a moment, Xiao Changchun only felt that the whole person was relieved, as if he had been understood. He knew that even a few more seconds, his endurance would reach its limit. He was waiting for the scene of diabetes insipidus in front of countless people and his precious apprentices at the school gate. Yi Tian, this guy, now stop, said so words, finally left face for oneself. Ha 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 ha. Xiao Changchun laughed a few times, then turned to look at Yen Bing, nodded, said, "Good vision, your boyfriend, my appetite is much stronger than Shuyan's rubbish." Although Yi Tian has just forced him to death, Xiao Changchun is a real martial arts practitioner and loves Yen Bing from the bottom of his heart. Now that he saw the master and knew that his apprentice had a good home, how could he not be happy? As for face, the future apprentice's son-in-law is so strong that he will lose face today. Can he not get it back in the future? Now the explanation is even more unclear. Yi Tian listened to Xiao Changchun's words and the satisfied smile on his face, and his heart was more speechless. However, at the moment, Xiao Changchun is in the mood, and the old man has a bad temper. In addition, Yen Bing keeps winking at him, so he can only swallow the truth back to his stomach. This is the identity token of Lingxi Yufeng Trade Fair. I found someone to exchange it for me. You have one, Binger one. Put it away. Remember, don't let Binger be bullied by others at the trade fair. At this time, Xiao Changchun has taken out two small and exquisite black jade cards from his pocket and handed them to Yi Tian and Yen Bing respectively. After a word of advice, he wants to take out the elder's shelf and pat Yi Tian on the shoulder. But when his hand is lifted up, it doesn't fall down. The whole person seems to be chatting. Yen Bing see this, can only pray toward Yi Tian, looked at the eyes, hands together, do thanks. Yi Tian has no choice but to bend over and put his shoulder in front of Xiao Changchun. Haha, good boy, good boy. Seeing this, Xiao Changchun immediately straightened his waist. In a moment of high spirits, he raised his hand and patted Yi Tian's shoulder twice, then raised his head and laughed. This old man lives a pure life, just like a child. Yi Tian looks at Xiao Changchun and can't help crying and laughing. Didn't you just ask why Lingxi Yufeng Trade Fair should be advanced? I tell you, because according to the recent situation of Nanhai City, Mirage is expected to open at any time during this period.
Therefore, Lingxiyufeng trade fair should be advanced to avoid time conflict between the two.
At this time, Zhou Changchun continued to walk slowly towards Yi Tian.
Mirage is about to open.
When Yi Tian hears the words, he suddenly realizes why he thought the aura of heaven and earth had changed yesterday.
He thinks that this situation should be related to the opening of a mirage.
Well, I'll be in Nanhai City to help you keep an eye on the mirage.
You two will leave immediately and attend Lingxiyufeng Fair as soon as possible. Xiao Changchun is an acute person.
After a brief explanation, he waves his hand and signals Yi Tian and Yanbing to act quickly.
Thank you very much. Yi Tian bows to Xiao Changchun, and then drives to Nanhai Airport with Yanbing. Time flies.
At 6 o'clock in the evening, Yi Tian and Yanbing appeared in Liqing County, where Lingxiu Peak is located. Walking down from the car and entering the station, Yi Tianli keenly feels that there are many mountain people in the station. These people, like him and Yanbing, should come to the Lingxiu Peak Fair.
I don't know what Tianyun people think.
Every year, the trade fair is held in this place where there is no shit, and I don't let myself drive up the mountain.
I have to take the local old bus.
Just as Yi Tian was about to ask the staff of the station how to get to Lingxiyufeng, a mountain dweller in the middle of the Xuanji stage grumbled along his side.
The wall has ears. Don't talk.
Be careful to be heard and spread to the people of Tianyun.
We didn't attend the fair at that time. On the contrary, we offended the people of Tianyun. Are our brothers still alive?
As soon as the voice of the Xuanji middle-term voice fell, his companions rushed to him with an SH gesture. After a wary glance around, he said in a deep voice, Tianyun Shangren is an orphan. When he was a child, he was taken care of and grew up by the villagers of Lingxiu Peak. Now that he is developed, he naturally wants to help the villagers who took care of him find some extra money the way.
This man of heaven and cloud has feelings and righteousness.
When Yi Tian heard this conversation, he was dumbfounded and lost in laughter. In his heart, he could not help but feel a little more good for the Tianyun man. After he was reborn, he saw many people on the mountain, but most of them were ruthless and regarded ordinary people as mole ants. It's the first time that Tianyun Shangren, who has made such a fortune, still cares about the villagers who took care of him and made extra income for them.
Don't worry.
I'll just mumble a few words.
I won't talk nonsense anymore. Let's go and buy a ticket.
After hearing this, the man nodded his head in a hurry, saying that he would not talk nonsense anymore, and walked towards an old bus that was not far away. Seeing this, Yi Tian winks at Yanbing.
They follow him and walk towards the bus.
When they arrived at the bus, there were many people waiting in line, and all of them were mountain people. And according to Yi Tian's perception, there are 4 of them among the people on the mountain, which have been regarded as excellent prefecture-level experts.
However, what attracts Yi Tian's attention most is not the 4 prefecture-level experts, but a young man in the later stage of Xuanji who is luxurious, proud and impatient. Because, as far as he can see, the 4 prefecture-level masters all look respectful when they face the young man. Obviously, these 4 prefecture-level masters should be his followers. When you go out with 4 prefecture-level experts, you can imagine that this young man's identity must be very good. Hula hula, but just then, along the distance suddenly came a sound of wheels rolling over the ground, followed by a 4 or 5-year-old girl wearing roller skates, stabbing from the front. I'm sorry, let's go, the ground was too slippery. Without stopping, the little girl ran into the distinguished young man. At the moment of approaching, the little girl turned pale with fright and cried out, hoping that the young man in front would get out of the way. The young man glanced at her, his brows suddenly wrinkled, and a touch of boredom flashed through his eyes. Little beast, don't you have eyes when you walk?
Seeing the young man's look, a mountain man at the beginning of prefecture level who was beside him, with a cold look, dodged in front of the young man, and then kicked the little girl in the chest.
This kick is full of strength.
If it's a little girl's body, I'm afraid it will fly upside down like a broken kite.
Even if it's lucky, it will be seriously injured. It's a cruel way to lay such a heavy hand on a little girl.
When Yi Tian saw this, he frowned. Without any hesitation, he forced his body forward. At the moment when the mountain man's foot was about to fall on the little girl, he picked her up and jumped up. After 2 turns in the air, he landed steadily.
Wow! Where has the little girl seen such a battle? After standing on the ground, she immediately holds Yi Tian and cries out in horror. Don't be afraid, with Big Brother here, it will be okay. Yi Tian reached out and patted the little girl's head. After calming her mood, he turned his head and looked at the mountain man at the beginning of the prefecture level. His eyes coldly said, "Don't you think it's too much to use such a cruel hand on a little girl?" Too much? At the beginning of that prefecture level, hearing the words, he gave a cold smile and said, "Listen to what you mean. Is it because you are not going to walk for this one, and you almost run into the little son of our little patriarch to fight against us?" I said how to act so inhuman, it turned out to be the garbage of Dishigate. Leaf Day toward that prefecture level initial stage swept an eye after, sneer repeatedly. Before, because Qin Fangyuan calculated the cold moon, Yi Tian was disgusted with Dishigate. At the moment, he was even more disgusted to see these people's arrogance and unreasonable appearance. He only felt that this kind of mountain sect should not exist in the world because he was a mountain man and thought he was superior to others. "Boy, what are you talking about?" After listening to Yi Tian's words, the other three people in Dishigate also yelled angrily and looked at Yi Tian with bad eyes. Yan Bing saw this, hurriedly gently pulled Leaf Day. Although she was born in Tiangang sect and was one of the disciples of Sanzangliaman, she was not willing to easily provoke the people of Disha sect who were insidious, vicious, and repayable. "Why, are you deaf? Can't you hear me say you're rubbish?" But Yi Tianru didn't notice Yan Bing's obstruction. She picked her eyebrows and laughed and said coldly, "Boy, you are looking for death." Hearing Yi Tian's words, the four people in Disha's family looked gloomy and awe-inspiring. "Ha ha ha, good courage. I hope you will continue to have such courage in the near future." But at this time, the little master of Disha sect, who was silent from beginning to end, finally opened his mouth and looked at Yi Tian playfully, as if he were looking at an ant insect jumping up and down. "Little lord." The four people of Dishigate heard the news and quickly cast inquiring eyes to the young man, hoping to see how he planned to make Yi Tian. "There are so many people here, so let him live a little longer. When we get to the mountain, we will care about him slowly." The little master of Disha sect looked at Yi Tianxia and glanced at him twice. Then he mocked, "Boy, you don't dare to attend the fair, do you? You are not afraid of offending me. What can I be afraid of?" Yi Tian smiles indifferently and calms down. "Well, there's seed." The slender eyebrow tip of the little master of Dishigate raised, and he mocked Yi Tian and picked a big thumb. Then he winked at the four prefectures around him, and made way to the side, indicating Yi Tian to get on the bus. "Children, don't play roller skating in crowded places in the future. It's very dangerous." Yi Tian completely ignores these people's actions, touches the little girl's hair on the top of her head. After a soft voice, he looks at Yan Bing, and then walks into the bus. The ground-shot door is little to believe a shape, coldly smile, immediately after get on the car. "You shouldn't be so impulsive. The people of Disha sect are famous for their narrow-mindedness. Even the people of Qingming sect don't want to provoke them easily." After getting on the bus, Yan Bing Guang looks at the people of Dishigate who are covetous in the rear and whispers to Yi Tian. "They are just like they are now because they are packed less. Don't worry. It'll be okay." Yi Tianping smiles, then leans back on the chair and closes his eyes to rest. Yan Bing looks at Yi Tian and knows that it's useless to say more, so she doesn't say anything more. She just prays in her heart, hoping that after arriving at Lingxiu Peak, the people of Dishaman will be able to see the heaven and cloud and be restrained. An hour later, the bus slowly stopped at the foot of Lingxiu Peak. Lingxiu Peak is a tourist attraction, but because of its remote location, few tourists set foot on it. Moreover, because of Tianyun people, the scenic spot was blocked in advance to prevent tourists from approaching, so as not to collide with people on the mountain. After getting off the bus, two people in security uniform came to check their identity. These two people have no sense of cultivation. They should be villagers in the village where Tianyun people grew up. "2, please come in." When Yi Tian and Yan Bing take out the token, the two security guards immediately respectfully let them to one side. After entering the mountain gate, Yan Bing looks back and finds that the guys in Dishigate are still closely following. This makes her feel miserable. I'm afraid she can't escape the trouble today. But when she looked at Yi Tian, she found that Yi Tian didn't see anything. She even put her hands behind her back, enjoying the scenery around her. Boy, what are you looking at everywhere? Do you think we've forgotten what happened?
But in this is, the ground chador of several people have been scattered, stopped Yi Tian in Yin Bing's way, cold voice way. I wanted to help you find a place with beautiful scenery as a place to sleep. Since you don't care where you die, forget it. Yi Tian heard the sound, stopped and said with a faint smile. Arrogant boy, let me give you some color, let you understand, what is heaven and earth. Before that, the prefecture-level official's face sank when he heard the news at the early stage. He drank angrily and attacked Yi Tian. Hand moment, along his body, the wind bursts, breath frightening. In this strange cold, Yen Bing only felt a trance of spirit, but he had a feeling of unsteadiness. Your evil spirit is so strong. I'm afraid your accomplishments are piled up by human lives? Yi Tian's eyes flashed a sense of erasure, not to dodge, a palm shot forward. Bang! At the beginning of that prefecture level, he was directly knocked to the ground by a huge force. His chest was sunken and his mouth spat blood. It seemed that there was only gas in, but no gas out. Who on earth are you? This scene, let the ground chador little master look in, stare at Yi Tian, sink a voice to drink to ask away. The 4 prefectures around him were all chosen by the patriarch to protect the Dharma for him before going down the mountain. They were the most experienced ones in Disha's sect. But now, I can't stop Yi Tian's random attack. This kind of cultivation strength, how can we not shock people? Not only is the little master of Disha's sect, but Yen Bing's face is full of consternation. Although she knew that Yi Tian's strength was not weak, she didn't expect that Yi Tian was so strong that even the prefecture-level experts didn't have the power to parry in front of him. What's more shocking is that she feels that the breadth of Yi Tian gang has increased as a geometric multiple compared with that of the previous shot after the end of the gambling stone fair outside the island. This kind of promotion speed is simply terrible. When you get underground, ask the King of Hell, he may tell you. Yi Tian looked at the little master of Disha's gate and said with a cold smile. Array! In evil cereal, the little master of Disha's family's face sank, and then he drank coldly. As soon as the words fell, the remaining 3 prefecture-level masters immediately took action and formed an inverted triangular array with the little master of Disha's sect as the center. What kind of array is this? What an evil gate! As soon as the array was completed, Yen Bing immediately felt the wind howling around him. There were some shrieking sounds like ghosts crying in his ears, and there was a sea of blood in front of him. The terrible sound and the terrible picture make people feel uneasy. Their bodies are cold and their minds are dizzy. Boy, even if you really have some skills, so what? Even if you are the top of the prefecture level, you will die today under the Insha array of our Disha sect. The little master of Disha's sect sneered and raised his hand, and the 4 rushed to Yi Tian immediately. Their steps, with a strange resonance, are closely linked. Every time they get close to each other, they make the chilly evil spirit around them more serious. Moreover, the sound of their steps is like stepping on people's hearts, which makes people panic and uneasy. Don't come here, don't kill me. Yen Bing's face suddenly changed when they walked less than halfway forward. He vomited a mouthful of blood, looked fatigued and widened his eyes. He kept dodging like he saw something terrible. It was obvious that his mind was strongly impacted by the evil spirit. Ha ha ha, boy, see? This is the most powerful power of our Dishazong array. Abandon your cultivation immediately, kneel down in front of me and kowtow to beg for mercy. Maybe I'm in a good mood and can spare you from death. Seeing Yen Bing's appearance, the little master of Disha's sect laughs wildly. It seems that he has already seen the picture of Yi Tian falling in front of him with the evil spirit rolled up by the array after Yen Bing. This kind of weak chicken array is the best. You can't beat me, so are you going to laugh me to death? But at this time, Yi Tian suddenly sneered, and immediately raised his hand slowly forward. His voice was cold and desolate, as if it had come from Tian, and he said, "Lay me." Click. A word fell, on the clear sky. Suddenly there was a terrible thunder. Then, in the blue sky and day, suddenly there was a flash of lightning with thick arms, such as an electric light snake, struggling to dance, and suddenly fell from the sky, emitting a series of terrible thunder power.
Heavenly Thunder Fairy Method. When the little master of Disha sect saw this scene, his face was filled with panic and trembled. "You are from Qingming sect." "Calm down." Yi Tian didn't pay attention to his words at all. Instead, he was as eloquent as Tian Xian.
The golden light in his eyes flashed slightly, and his right hand became a sword formula. He waved it gently towards the front.
Boom!
In a flash, thunder came down from the sky and fell heavily on the top of the Insha array, which was formed by the little master of Disha sect and others. The thunder in heaven is Yang fire, which is straight and matchless.
It has always been the killer of evil and other things, not to mention that Yi Tian's thunder attracted by Taoism has a ray of pure Yang breath. This is because Yi Tian's cultivation is too low.
If his cultivation breaks through to the golden elixir realm, it will attract fire and thunder from the elixir. If it falls, all the creatures on a hill will be turned into coke. Thunder and fire fall, the fierce pure Yang breath is scattered everywhere, and the evil breath between heaven and earth is dissipated in an instant. Click, click. Immediately after that, 2 prefecture-level mountain people in front of the Insha serial array were directly killed by thunder. Both of them were burned into black ashes by thunder. The power of Lei Shu's Taoist art is the strongest and most powerful in the 5 elements Taoist art.
If there is any obstruction, it will destroy and decay.
The so-called prefecture-level practitioners are just as ridiculous as mole ants in the face of this Taoist art.
The little sect of Disha sect thinks that the situation is not good.
He pushes forward and pushes up a prefecture-level middle-term leader in front of him, trying to make him resist the thunder for himself.
Boom!
The thunder fell on the prefecture-level middle-term man. With a flash of light, the whole body turned into coke. But what's fatal is that after thunder shot down the prefecture level, it still didn't disperse and chased the little master of Dishagate.
Click!
As soon as the blow fell, black smoke came out from the whole body of the little master of Disha sect. His clothes, hair, and skin turned into coke. The whole person fell to the ground like a black charcoal pillar, which was cruel and funny.
What kind of power is this? Is this still human? What is his cultivation now?
When the thunder fell, Yin Bing, who had recovered from the attack of evil intention, looked at the scene in horror and trembled. She is very lucky now that she and Yi Tian are friends, not enemies. Otherwise, the end of being Yi Tian's enemy is too terrible. As for those mountain people who are watching, there are 2 battles at the moment.
They look at Yi Tian in awe, just like the gods.
Not long ago, they all thought that Yi Tian would die when they saw the attack of Dishagate. But who would have thought that the one who survived was Yi Tian? Moreover, he almost effortlessly destroyed the 4 prefecture-level masters of Disha sect, as well as their little master. However, what makes these people strange is that they have never heard of when such a young and powerful expert appeared among the mountain people. At this time, Yi Tian came to the corpses of the little master of Disha sect and the 4 prefecture-level masters. He spread his mind and scanned their corpses. These people all come to the Lingxi Yufeng Fair, and they come from 3 schools and 6 schools.
Maybe they have some good things. It's a pity that Lei Shu's Taoist art is too strong. They don't have any magic tools to store things. Everything on them has been destroyed.
The idea swept. When found that these people are empty, Yi Tian can't help but feel some regret in his heart.
This is...
But then, Yi Tian suddenly sensed that there was a pure aura wave under the corpse of the little master of Disha sect. Without any hesitation, Yi Tian kicked the corpse to the side, and then bent down to pick up a thumb-thick, dark wood from the charcoal.
It's a congenital spirit tree.
I'm afraid this guy doesn't know how to use it, so he brings it to the fair and wants to exchange some pills or refining materials suitable for him. This kind of treasure, in the hands of this kind of rubbish, is just an outrageous thing. You know, even if it's placed in the heaven and the world of Fangkunling realm, there are few congenital things like congenital spirit wood. Of course, only such a congenital thing can resist the Taoist art of thunder from the beginning to the end. Yi Tian flicks his hand toward the stick, and the black charcoal on it immediately peels off, revealing a green, crystal-clear green root, which contains the vitality of wood.
Even Yi Tian can't help but be intoxicated. The congenital spirit wood is extremely mysterious.
It is said that it is the 5 elements that were born from the empty sky when each planet was first created. Such things, even if placed in the square-inch spirit realm, are the top materials for refining pills or weapons, but as Emperor Dan, Yi Tian, who was once a great friar in Yupu, naturally knew more secrets that even the friars in Fengsu and Lingyu didn't know. It's very good to use the 5 elements to refine pills and weapons. However, if you use the secret method to integrate it into your body, you will be able to create unique elements of each line according to the 5 elements.
Take this congenital spirit wood as an example.
If it is successfully integrated, it will be able to achieve the wood line element body, and make people have the powerful regeneration ability like endless wildfire in spring breeze.
Moreover, this ability will be improved with the continuous improvement of cultivation.
It can be said that as long as Yi Tian can absorb the congenital spirit wood, his body recovery ability will be greatly improved, and he cannot be afraid. For him now, there are still some lethal bullets and other firearms. When his cultivation is further improved, even if someone detonates a bomb beside him, he will not be hurt by the powerful vitality. Not only that, when he learned the secret that the 5 elements can merge into the body, he also learned that if someone can gather the 5 elements, he can even achieve the legendary chaotic Tao, which can not only get close to the main road, but also greatly increase the chance of entering the realm of heaven. When Yi Tian was in the square-inch spiritual realm, he once thought about collecting the 5 elements. However, most of the 5 elements had already disintegrated when the planet was first established. It was too hard to find them, so he had no choice but to give up. I didn't expect that he could get such a treasure from the little master of dishes sect today. Even if this trade fair didn't get the Shifengshi, with this congenital spirit wood, it's no air trip. Yi Tian made a mental move, put the congenital spirit wood into the storage ring, and then turned to look at Yan Bing and said, "Let's go up the mountain to see if there is anything I want in the trade fair." Yan Bing nodded, followed Yi Tian closely, and walked along the rugged mountain road to the place where the trade fair was held in the eyes of all the mountain people around him. A few minutes later, Yi Tian and Yan Bing came to the top platform where the fair was held. These mountain people obviously know what just happened at the foot of the mountain. When they see Yi Tian and Yan Bing, they immediately give way for fear of provoking this mysterious young master. In fact, the fair of mountain people is far from that tall. Many mountain people directly set up their stalls and put their things on the ground. Some people exchange, while others exchange the things on the stalls for cash. After all, people have to eat, even the mountain people, especially for those who have no family or school. They not only need to practice, but also have a large family. Life is very stressful. Yi Tian took a look at the things on the stall. They were only ginseng, Ganoderma lucidum and some jade, or some ordinary weapons, or some simple secret books. Yi Tian naturally has no interest in these herbs. Compared with his fierce sword, those blades are almost the same as the kitchen knife as for the ancient books and records. He looked at them casually under the cover and mysterious obstruction of the stall owner. When he found that they were ridiculous, he lost interest completely. Pass by, don't miss it. Heaven and earth are not as good as the fortune I gave you for nothing. But just when Yi Tian's interest is lacking, along the front, there is a cry. It sounds very familiar. He's here, too. Yi Tianxuan's nose almost tilted as he glanced past. Black sunglasses, old Taoist robes, green bamboo sticks. This classic 3-piece set, in addition to the last time out of Cloud Fey Master Zubath map pit him, let him be called sex wolf blind old man, which can be. However, Yi Tian now feels that the eyes of the old liar are not blind. You hang out first, I'll meet a friend. After a casual sentence to Yan Bing, Yi Tian strode to the blind old man's stall. You can miss everything, but Fu Yuan must not miss it. If you look at it more, you will not lose a piece of meat, but also have the possibility of getting ahead of the others and surpassing the top. The blind old man seems to be really blind. When Yi Tian comes to his stall, he seems to be unaware of it. He is still shouting at the broken gong voice. As far as Yi Tian can see, the old liar seems to be selling some maps now. However, he did not pay attention to deceiving people. He did not play with the mystery. He obviously put a thick pile of old sheepskin maps on the stall. This method is almost the same as straight hook fishing. No wonder no one looks at him more. Are you sure you are above the top of the mountain, or are you making me laugh? Yi Tian waited for a moment, and saw that the old liar didn't look flustered.
He laughed indifferently and said, "What are you saying, brother? I've lived so long that I never cheat."
The blind old man was filled with indignation.
"Yes? What's the explanation of the bathing picture of the 8 fairies last time? I've heard that it seems to be someone else's master." Yi Tian sneers and squats down, slowly.
"Oh, I said that as soon as I went out today, the magpie would croak at me. It turned out that it was my little brother last time." "Little brother, you just said that, but you slandered me." "I only said that it was the 8 fairies, but I didn't say that it was the 8 fairies in which period." Hearing this, the blind old man woke up like a dream. He laughed, and then said, "In fact, if you follow the picture, find the ones in the picture and give them back. They may be in a good mood and give them a great fortune."
"Are you sure it's fate? Is it not slaughter?" Yi Tian turns his eyes straight. "Isn't it obvious that the old liar is pitching people? What kind of people do you have to be, so that you can do what others send you, not only not angry, but also a great fortune? Ha ha, how do you know if you don't try? Anyway, I never cheat." The blind old man is very natural. He doesn't blush at all. Yi Tian, speechless, shook his head, lazy to quarrel with the old liar. "Little brother, stay. It's a chance for us to see each other again. You didn't treasure your last fortune. I'll give you a bigger one this time." The blind old man reached for Yi Tian's clothes and took out a parchment map from the stall with his other hand. After putting it down, he said, "See the map of Fairy House in Mirage. With this, all the treasures in Xianfu will be yours alone." The old liar even knows the news of Mirage opening? This line of deception, enough close to the hot ah. Yi Tian looks at the blind old man in dismay, stops to leave and sweeps his eyes at the parchment map. What is drawn on the map is indeed the road map of a cave, on which the names of various areas are marked, and even some places are painted with plants and weapons. "Little brother, there's a place marked by a skull. If you see it, you can't get close to it, or you will die. And here, there's a plant mark. Do you know what it is? Here is a 9-fold orchid with human flesh and white bones." The blind old man poked his fingers at the map in a small, mysterious voice, as if he was really telling a big secret. "Aren't you blind? What's the point? And you can draw maps?" Yi Tian was speechless for a while, looking at the taste of the blind old man playing. "Last time I didn't say that although I was blind, my eyes shine through everything. Let alone draw a map, even if I give you a high-precision photorealistic work, there is absolutely no problem. Little brother, I tell you, if you miss such a big chance, you will regret it all your life." The blind old man is so arrogant that his cowhide is blowing loud. "Your grade is not small. Take this map and find yourself that 9-fold orchid. When you're about to belch, put it in your mouth and wait for life and death." Yi Tian picks an eyebrow to smile, turn round to walk. "Little brother, the last time we met, I opened my eyes and pushed it up for 800 years and down for 800 years. I found that we were all good brothers in our 3 lives and 3 lives. Under the peach blossom tree, I have made friends several times. Elder brother, I'm so ragged that I can't afford to eat anymore. Do you have the heart to let your brothers, Jinlan, live such a miserable life?" Seeing this, the blind old man took a lunge and hugged Yi Tian's thigh. He mumbled with a runny nose and tears, "Just that a snivel a tear, all is to the body of the leaf day random wipe." Yi Tian is speechless. As Emperor Dan, he has been practicing Taoism for 200 years. He has seen a lot of top-notch products, but if you look around, there is no one who can compare with this blind old man without shame. What's more, the old man is taking advantage of him while asking for benefits. "I'll count to 3. If I don't let go, I'll do it." Yi Tian doesn't eat him at all. "Good brother, how can you be so cruel?" The blind old man cried and yelled, attracting the eyes of those people on the mountain nearby. At this time, Yi Tian found a strange situation. These mountain people were still interested in seeing what happened, but when they found that they were blind elders, they turned their heads one by one. Many people even looked at Yi Tian and snickered. As if, for them, such a picture has been commonplace. This old man is obviously a recidivist. Seeing this, Tian raised his hand and said in a deep voice, 2, 1. Little brother, it seems that you are short of 3. Hearing the news, the blind old man looked up at Tian in a hurry. But when he saw that Tian was still not good, he looked at Tian carefully. Then he pretended to be shocked, patted Tian's thigh and said, "Oh, I'm wrong. It turns out that you are not a good brother who has been with me for 1,600 years. Tian is speechless to the extreme, lazy to pay more attention to this blind old man, turn around and leave quickly. It's a pity, even if Tu is a man, he still can't see the pearl with his eyes." But at this time, the blind old man sitting on the ground behind Tian clapped his thigh, shook his head and sighed. "What are you talking about?" Tian's eyes suddenly changed when he heard the 4 words "Tu is a man," then he turned his head and looked at the blind old man with a smile. "What did I say? I didn't say anything. Little brother, did you change your mind to buy my Mirage treasure map?" The blind old man looked at Tian blankly, as if he had just said nothing. Tian didn't say a word, but spread his mind and covered the blind old man. As a result, the blind old man's condition is very clear. He is really just a weak chicken in the middle of yellow class. Is it because you think too much or have a hallucination? Tian made sure that the blind old man didn't hide his breath and frowned slightly. Tian, the internal trade fair above Xian level will start immediately. Don't entangle with him anymore. I just inquired with others. He is an old liar who specializes in bluffing. No matter where there is a slightly larger gathering, there will be his shadow. In the past few years, he has been beaten many times, but he still sticks to his guns. At this time, Yan Bing came over and pulled Tian for a while, looking at the blind old man. "Hee, little girl, I have a great fortune here. Do you want it?" The blind old man grinned and showed his big yellow teeth, much like the strange millet that encouraged the little girl to buy goldfish. "Yes? But I have no money in my hand." Yan Bing looked at the blind old man with a grin. He pinched his fist with his right hand and hit his left hand heavily. He said with a coquettish smile, "But I have a pair of iron fists. I don't know if I can beat you 2 fists for luck. Forgive me, Nvexia." Hearing the speech, the blind old man immediately bent like a shrimp. He threw a fist at Yan Bing, pulled the sheets on the ground skillfully, quickly rolled the map and other things into a package, carried it on his back, and ran away in the blink of an eye. "See, we have to use this to deal with such people." Yan Bing sees this, proud raises eyebrow to smile, then directed Leaf Day to shake fist. "This blind old man, some strange." Tian smiles and nods, but there are more doubts in his heart. Just now, he threatened the blind old man, and the other side was still full of words about running trains. But now, Yan Bing just blustered him, and he left. It's really unreasonable. There is no reason. There are those who are not afraid of high cultivation, but are afraid of low cultivation. In particular, the sentence "the second is a man" makes Tian's heart full of doubts. He had just thought about it carefully, and was sure that it was not his own auditory hallucination. However, he was not sure whether the old blind man's sentence was a random nonsense, a coincidence, or another clue. After all, the old man's mouth is full of running trains. It's hard to tell whether his sentence is true or false. Let's go. It's late. Maybe the duckweed stone you want will be bought by others. At this time, Yan Bing pulled Tian's arm and urged him. Tian nodded and followed Yan Bing to a large tent built on the ground. The story of Tian killing the little master of Disha clan at the foot of the mountain has spread. As soon as people outside the tent see Tian, they immediately spread out to both sides and make way. For such a scene, Tian had been used to it in Fangsu and Lingyu. He had no strange color on his face. He naturally walked towards the tent, and unconsciously showed a kind of respect for the superior. What's the origin of this young man? He is so high in cultivation, and he has so much momentum? When did such a mysterious young master appear among the people on the mountain? People look at Tian, eyes full of curiosity, but no matter how hard they think, they cannot get any useful information. There was a large area inside the tent. Except for 2 passages, 30 or 40 chairs were placed in a circle.
When Yi Tian and Yan Bing came in, there were more than 10 people in it.
Everyone's accomplishments were above the Xian level.
At the sight of Yi Tian, these people respectfully stood up and gave way to the first row of seats.
Yi Tianping moved forward, and then sat down at the best position in the first row. Yi Tian, so many people are afraid of you. Why don't you react at all?
Yan Bing sits down with Yi Tian and looks around.
He sees that many people's remaining light is peeking at Yi Tian. He lowers his voice and tells Yi Tian Dao.
What do you think I should do, stand up and tell them not to be afraid of me, or tell them I'm not terrible at all?
Let them be afraid. Of course, people from the mountains should have a little awe. Yi Tianping smiles quietly. When he was in Fangsu and Lingyu, he was tired of seeing this kind of awe. How would he react?
Yan Bing listened to these words, oddly looked at Yi Tian. This guy, the young master of Disha sect, dares to kill him, but he is so entangled by an old liar that he doesn't drive away. Do not fear the strong, do not bully the weak. Nowadays, I'm afraid it's hard to say that such a person is rare in the world, isn't it? Just then, the tent suddenly quieted down, and everyone got up and looked at the tent door with a smile on their face. Seeing this, Yi Tian immediately saw that a gray-haired man, about 60 years old, came in. Prefecture-level peak. And the moment his eyes touched the old man, Yi Tian found that the old man's accomplishments, like Zhou Changchun's, were the pinnacle of the prefecture level. However, Zhou Changchun's momentum is obviously better than that of the old man. But even so, the strength of the prefecture-level peak among the people in Sanxiu Mountain has been extraordinary.
Master Tian Yun, since you have arrived, can the fair begin?
Soon, a middle-aged man in the middle of the Xuanji stage stood up and hugged the old man.
Of course. I'm really sorry.
I'm so busy with trifles that I've kept you waiting for a long time. Master Tian Yun nodded with a light smile, arched his hand to the four sides, and his eyes fell on Yi Tian, saying, and I heard that this time, it seems that some experts from Qingmingzong came to the fair.
It's really brilliant. Brush. With the words from Tian Yun, everyone's eyes immediately fell on Yi Tian.
His eyes were full of searching color. Obviously, he wanted to know whether Yi Tian really came from Qingming's sect.
Qingmingzong?
Haha, sort of, not really.
Yi Tian chuckled. He didn't admit it or deny it, but sold it.
After all, he is not sure whether there is a connection between the so-called Qingming sect on earth and Qingming blessed land in Fangsuan spiritual realm.
Yes or no?
This sentence directly confused the people in the meeting, his face full of doubts. Don't understand why Yi Tian would give such a specious answer.
Haha, whether they are or not, they are all my guests from Tian Yun.
Master Tian Yun laughed, then raised his hand and said, we are pressed for time, so I won't be so polite. In our fair, it's still the old rule. We volunteer to take out our treasures, and then tell us what we want to exchange for, and the one with the highest price will get it. Moreover, no matter whether the transaction is successful or not, no one is allowed to make a move on the hillside of Lingxiu Peak, otherwise it will be an enemy to me. This rule is simple enough. Moreover, this man from Tian Yun has enough pity for the weak. The rule that hands are not allowed on the mountainside is obviously to give those weak people a chance to escape. Yi Tian heard the speech, nodded slightly, and looked up at the sky cloud. Next, I'll let you throw a brick to attract jade. I have a spirit jade here. No matter it's used to refine and forge weapons or to cultivate, I think everyone knows the effect. I won't say much about it. After that, Master Tian Yun took out a brocade box and opened it to reveal a jade which was blue and full of water element. He looked around and said, inferior water property Lingyu. Yi Tian glanced at it, and immediately recognized that the spirit jade from the sky cloud was similar to the one he had solved at the gambling stone meeting outside the island last time, except that one was fire attribute and the other was water attribute. Lingyu can be used to absorb its aura to improve cultivation. Besides, its properties and effects are different. Metal spirit jade can be used to refine attack weapons, which will increase the power of weapons. Earth spirit jade can improve the defensibility of defense weapons. Wood spirit jade can be used to preserve pills and liquid medicine. As long as the spirit in the spirit jade is not consumed, no matter how long it is placed, the medicine will not disperse, and even the medicine will be improved with the passage of time. The fire spirit jade is full of vitality. Absorbing its internal aura will help the practitioners break through the situation. As for the water spirit jade of Tian Yun, it is as good as water. The inner aura is good for the practitioners who are injured. Especially for the damage of some meridians, absorbing the aura can moisten and repair the more Ling Yu is, the better. Not to mention the other mountain people, even Yi Tian, want to know what the conditions of Tian Yun people are. Master Tian Yun, what are you going to exchange with this water spirit jade? At this time, a Xuanji looked at Master Tian Yun nervously and said, I have been at the top of the prefecture level for many years, and my biggest wish in this life is to break through the sky level. I'd like to use this Shuiling jade to buy a prescription of Tianling pill, or where can I hear from Wulingshan? Tian Yun master is very kind, even in the face of a Xuanji later stage whose cultivation is lower than himself, he still smiles and says slowly. Tianling pill? Wulingshan? A word from the sky cloud fell, and everyone in the room shook their heads and laughed bitterly. If Shilingyu is a rare treasure, then Tianlingdan and Wulingshan are more precious. Let's not talk about the prescription of Tianlingdan. As for Wulingshan, it's a very rare medicine. After taking it, the mountain people who have reached the peak of cultivation at all levels can get the chance to break through the situation. The precious things of this level are not available to the mountain people of Xuanji and Huangji. It is only possible for the mountain people of the prefecture level to get them. For the local people, even if they know where to find the trace of Danfang and Wulingshan, if anyone knows, they must want to keep them for their own use. After all, which prefecture level mountain people did not achieve the dream of heaven level? Master Tian Yun, do you want to exchange this water spirit jade for something other than Tianling Danfang and Xianling Ginseng? Such as Snow Ganoderma. At this time, the Xuanji later heard the words of Tian Yun, his eyes flashed a touch of disappointment, and then looked forward to the way. I'm sorry, I've been stagnant at the top of the prefecture level for many years. My biggest wish in my life is to break the heaven level one day. I won't change anything except the news of the Dan prescription and Zuanlingshan of Tianlingdan. Tian Yun man shook his head with a smile, then glanced at Yi Tian's position with hope on his face and said, Is it true that no one here can help me to fulfill my wish? Among the people in the mountains, Yi Tian, who is suspected to be born in Qingming sect, has the greatest hope to help him. After all, among the three schools, Qingming school is famous for refining pills. But it's a pity that Yi Tian doesn't seem to see the look of the people in the sky. His face doesn't change and he looks indifferent. He has never seen the Tianlingdan. Naturally, there is no way to mention the Danfang. However, he has hundreds of Danfang in his hand to make Tian Yun master break through the heaven level. However, at the moment, he has been in the limelight and doesn't want to attract too much attention. He plans to wait until after the fair to have a chat with Tian Yun people alone. He doesn't have a bad impression on this person, so he doesn't mind giving him a push, so that among the people in the mountain, there will be a pretty good sky-level master. Well, since no one can meet my requirements, let's change one. But I put my words here. As long as I can provide the whereabouts of Tianling Danfang or Xianling Shin, especially the latter, I can not only get the Shuiling jade, but also owe him a big favor. I can help him 3 times. Tian Yun waited for a moment. Seeing that no one paid attention to him, he sat back to his original position with a gloomy look. The obsession of Tian Yun master to Tianji is so deep that he is willing to pay so much money. The leaf day listens to the words of the person on the sky cloud, can't help tiny tongue. A quasi-heaven level master makes 3 moves, which is definitely not of great value. At this time, after the Tian Yun man took his seat, a mountain man at the top of the Xian level stood up. The thing he took out was not as precious as Tian Yun people, but a blade that could barely touch the level of heavy weapons. Although it can't enter Yi Tianyan's eyes, it's 100 times better than the things sold on the stall outside. This scene, let Leaf Day in the heart secretly gave birth to a few minutes to expect, want to see, next can appear what let oneself all move thing. Before that, Yi Tian realized that the aura of the earth may be very poor, and there are few things like elixirs, but there seems to be many good things left by the cultivation civilization that once existed. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a small piece of Huoling jade here. I want to exchange it for cash with you. At this time, a simple and honest prefecture level slowly got up at the beginning, took out a piece of Huoling jade half the size of a quail egg, looked around and said, This language not only is present all people are alang, even Leafday also are stunned. You know, Huoling jade is extremely precious, which is very good for improving cultivation. Even if the Huoling jade in the early stage of the prefecture level is only a small piece, most mountain people will use it to improve their cultivation strength, or to replace the elixir, weapons and other things that enhance their strength, but this person, is to exchange money, is really rare.
It's really rare to exchange Huolinjiu for cash. I don't know how much you want.
Soon, some people on the mountain asked the prefecture level official with an emotional look on their face. It's hard for me to say, otherwise I would not do it. This Huoling jade can be sold from 5 million, and the one with the highest price will get it. That prefecture level initial stage Rai smile don't give up if saw the firework properly jade of the iPoem, slowly way.
5 million.
I'll take this fire spirit jade from Taiman. That prefecture level early words just fall. The first row of a closed eyes of the old man suddenly opened his eyes, smilingly to the prefecture level early after looking at the eyes, light smile wait as soon as the words came down, the people on the mountain who used to be moved immediately became hesitant.
Brush.
At the beginning of the hearing, the prefecture level official looked at the old man in astonishment. His face was red, and his eyes were frightened and unwilling.
Why, are you going to go back and sell it?
The old man of the Tai Gate saw this and said with a playful smile after looking at the early stage of the prefecture level.
Master.
At the beginning of the prefecture level, he held his fists with both hands and looked embarrassed.
Sell it or not? What are you doing? Do you think Taiman bullied you?
The old man of Taiman sneered and said coldly.
What a bully he is. Yi Tian looked at the old man and frowned.
You know, although this fire spirit jade at the beginning of the prefecture level is only a small piece, the top grade jasper he solved last time is worth 5 million, let alone a fire spirit jade with a better value than jasper. According to Yi Tian's judgment, this Huoling jade should be sold for at least 8 million, or even 10 million. When this prefecture level official chose to sell Huolinjiu in the early stage, he must have met some difficulties.
He was in urgent need of money. This Taiman old man took the opportunity to haggle over the price.
He was really deceiving others too much.
This guy, isn't he the young master who just killed Dish's sect, and is ready to provoke Tai's sect?
Just now, the old man obviously took this Huoling jade as a forbidden jade. If it's bad for him, there will be no good fruit to eat at this time. Yan Bing had already seen Yi Tian's bad look, and he felt that something was not right.
6 million.
Almost at the same time when Yan Bing comes up with this idea, Yi Tian's hand goes up and casually raises Yan, light way.
Sure enough.
Hearing this, Yan Bing looks helplessly at Yi Tian. She really doesn't know how bold this guy is. She just comes to stroke the tiger beard of Taiyigate after provoking Dishigate in his eyes. Is the existence of 3 schools and 6 schools a joke?
Didn't you hear me just now?
Sure enough, the old man of Taiyigate frowned and swept his eyes at Yi Tian. He said slowly.
So what? Are you Taiman the king of heaven? If you want to buy it, others can't buy it?
Yi Tian smiles indifferently, and then turns to look at the Tianyun master and says, Tianyun master, you are the owner of this fair. Excuse me, is there such a rule that you can't bid for the fair you preside over? At the fair, naturally, the one with the highest price will get it. Skycloud person calm smile, slowly way.
Good, I'll pay 6.5 million.
Besides, I'll say it again.
I'm too fond of it.
The old man of Taiyigate gave a cold smile and said slowly.
7 million.
Yi Tian doesn't give up. He looks at the old man of Taiman provocatively and plays with the taste. I like this too, so it's useless for you to like it. It seems that killing the little master of Dish's sect makes you no longer know who you are. The old man of Taiman looked at Yi Tianxia and looked around. He raised his hand and made a gesture of 9. He said coldly, 9 million, are you still with me? Why don't you talk to me?
10 million.
You Taiman tone so big, won't be so shabby just a little money, can't take out again? Yi Tian smiles and looks at the old man of Taiman, playing with the taste.
11 million.
Are you still with me? The old man of Taiman's face sank and slowly spat out 5 words, but from his eyes, he was about to spit out fire.
12 million. Yi Tian picks an eyebrow to smile. The manner is indifferent, that appearance, simply regard two doors have no thing, as if as long as this old man increases a price, he will continue to follow. Well, you have a lot of guts. 13 million. Keep going. The old man of Tian is completely infuriated by Yi Tian's attitude, hoarse, word by word. Go on? You think I'm a fool like you? A piece of Huoling jade the size of a nail cap. Can I buy it at this price? The leaf day picks eyebrow a smile, mocks of looking at Tui Door Elder, decisively withdrew from the auction. What he did was just to help the mountain dweller at the beginning of the prefecture level get justice back and discuss the Taiman by the way. There was no need to really fight with each other. You. The old man of Taiman was completely infuriated and pointed to Yi Tian with a pale face. The group of people around looked at Yi Tian in amazement. There was shock and admiration in his eyes. Yi Tiangon's action is to treat the old man of Taigate as a fool. This attitude does not pay attention to the other party or the Taigate behind him. Kill the little master of Disha first, and then offend Tai. This courage is invincible. Why, is it that Taiman, who has a lot of money, can't afford to give up even this little money? There is no fear expression on Yi Tian's face. He laughs at the old man of Taigate and says faintly, "We can afford such a small sum of money." The old man of Taigate stares at Yi Tian deeply. After he engraves his face in the bottom of his heart, he pops up a bank card to Tian Yun and coldly says, "Tian Yun, help me deliver." Tian Yun took the bank card and looked at the prefectural leader. When he got close, the delivery began. Soon, the transaction was completed, and 13 million yuan was put into the initial bag of prefecture level, while Huolinjiu was handed over to the old man of Taiman. The old man of Taiman looks gloomy and almost drips water. He knew very well that when the incident just publicized and was told that he had been fooled into buying a piece of Huoling jade the size of a nail cap with 13 million yuan, he didn't know how many people would look at him like a fool. At the beginning of that prefecture level, after taking his bank card, he looked at the entry reminder, and after a few happy smiles on his face, he looked at Yi Tian with a worried look and hesitated. He knows that because Yi Tian has offended the old man of Taiman, the other party may not give up so easily. A few days later, the fair continued, and the scene was very hot. I have a piece of duckweed stone. I want to exchange it for a zhuyu grass, or a fire ganoderma in the center of the earth. After 4 or 5 people, a Xuanji peak got up, gave a salute to the 4 sides, and looked forward to it. Take duckweed stone for the hope of breaking through the prefecture level. Brother, you are a little good at calculating. A word falls, nearby immediately has the mountain person to play the flavor. Zhuyu grass and Dixin Huaji are both materials for refining Delingdon, which are relatively rare for mountain people. As for the duckweed stone, although it is rare, it has no other use except that the weapons made will be a little lighter and more flexible, and the toughness will be greatly reduced. In short, duckweed stone, like chicken ribs, is tasteless to eat and a pity to discard. As for zhuyu grass and Dixin Huaji, they are the real chicken thighs for the mountain people. It's a good calculation to trade chicken ribs for chicken thighs. At the same time, Yi Tian's eyes have been firmly locked on the so-called duckweed stone in the hands of this Xian-level peak. The stone is as green as jade, but it emits metallic light. When the Xuanji peak is thrown, the fist big or will appear short-term stagnation. It's totally out of line with the picture of gravity, unspeakable mystery. Sure enough, it's Shifengshi. This scene, as well as the unique material like jade and gold, has made Yi Tian completely confirm that this is really the wind stone he needs. In any case, we must get this wind shooting stone. Only in this way can one's own fierce sword be transformed into a fierce flying sword, and its combat power will have earth-shaking changes. Yi Tian thought in his heart. After he squeezed his fist slightly, he looked at the Xuanji peak and said with a smile, "Besides Zhuyu Chao and Dixin Huaji, do you want to exchange other things?" This boy, he has a crush on Shifengshi? Taiman old man heard, immediately acute perception, Yi Tian is to this thing moved heart. Although he didn't know how Yi Tian was attracted to this object, he made up his mind at the first time when he found out that he wanted to stop Yi Tian and not give him the chance to get the wind-taking stone. Sorry, I only want these 2 kinds of elixirs. I don't need anything else.
Hearing this, the Xuanji Peak shook his head and said, "Ye Tian's eyebrows are slightly wrinkled, but even if the spin is stretched out, he does not have these two kinds of elixirs, but he has an elixir. I'll give you Zhuyu grass for it." But at this time, the old man of Taiyigate was already looking at the top of the Xian level. After raising his hand, he took a provocative look at the position of Yi Tian. "Thank you, master." On hearing this, Xuanji Fingfing's face immediately brightened. He threw a fist at the old man of Taiyigate, and then sent the Shifeng stone to him. "Wait a minute." Yi Tian sees this and raises his hand without thinking. "What are you waiting for? Don't you understand what they just said? If you don't have Zhuyu Cao and Huaji, you can't get this stone. Do you have these two things?" Taeman old man turned his head, cold toward Yi Tian swept, ridicule way. "I didn't." Yi Tian shrugs and smiles. "If not, what nonsense?" The old man of Taeman sneered and said coldly. "Master, I'm really sorry. I only want to change Zhuyu grass and Dixin Huaji. If you don't have these two things, I'm sorry." That Xian level peak also full face apologetic and uneasy saw Leaf Day One Eye, slowly way. "I really don't have Zhuyu Chao and Dxin Huaji, but if you want them, aren't you going to refine Di Lingdan?" Yi Tian pick eyebrow a smile, light way. "Now, you don't need so trouble, I directly take a to work properly Dan to you." Coax. A word fell, the meeting immediately boiling. All people's eyes fall on Yi Tian. If the Shifeng stone is a chicken rib, and the Zhuyu grass and the Dixin Huaji are chicken legs, then the Delingdan is a fat braised elbow for the Xian level mountain people. This kind of temptation, is any Xian level can't resist. Hee, how can I exchange Delingdan for duckweed stone? Don't fool people with such crazy words. The old man of Taiyigate was stunned, then looked at Yi Tian and sneered. He did not believe that Yi Tian would be willing to take a Delingdan in exchange for a chicken like Windstone. "Master, don't be kidding." That Xian level peak also looked forward to and couldn't believe to see Yi Tian One Eye, Zheng Zhangwei. "Joking? I've never been a joke." Yi Tian's mind moved, and then took out a porcelain bottle containing the spirit elixir from the storage ring. After throwing it to the Xuanji Peak, he said faintly, "Take it and see if I'm joking." Xuanji reaches for the porcelain bottle, looks at Yi Tian in amazement, carefully opens the bottle stopper, and glances inside. His face immediately shows an indescribable color of ecstasy. He holds the porcelain bottle and says, "Di Lingdan. It's really the elixir, coax." As soon as a word fell, those mountain people around him immediately boiled like porridge, and many Xuanji mountain people looked at the Xuanji Peak with envy. They wished they could grab the wind shooting stone from him and exchange the elixir with Yi Tian. What? This boy really wants to exchange the earth elixir for the wind shooting stone? Not to mention those mountain people around, even Taeman elders were stunned, some could not believe their ears. How about exchange? Leaf Day picks eyebrow to smile, light way. Of course. Of course. Thank you, master. Thank you. The Xuanji Peak was so excited that he could hardly speak quickly. You're welcome. I'm not as mean as some people or sections. I'm stingy when I do things. Yi Tian picks eyebrow to smile, looking at Tui door old person to mock to smile away. This kid, damn it. Hearing this, the old man of Taeman suddenly pinched his fingers tightly, and his anger almost turned into substance. You will understand how high the day is and how thick the ground is. After a little silence, Taeman old man looks at Yi Tian and says, his words are full of strong threat. Believe me, it's not me who should understand this, but you. Leaf Day picks eyebrow to smile, calm way. When it comes to the knowledge of heaven and earth, he can be sure that no one on the earth today can surpass him. Who has ever been to a planet outside the solar system, and who has ever made alchemy in the magma core of the planet and collected elixirs? How high is the sky and how deep is the earth? No one knows better than Yi Tian. On the contrary, these noisy guys really know nothing. The old man of Taiyigate snorted coldly and said nothing. After he sat back quietly, his eyes fixed on Yi Tian, as if he was afraid that he might sneak down Lingxiu Peak when he was unprepared. Boom! Just when the Tianyun people signaled the beginning of the trade fair, the atmosphere in the tent suddenly changed, and the people swept along the changing position of the atmosphere. They saw that the Xuanji peak who had exchanged the wind-taking stone from Yi Tian for the elixir of the earth had already broken through to the early stage of the prefecture level. This guy is very cautious. He's worried that he can't keep such a big fat body as Delingdon with his own cultivation. So when he got it, he quickly swallowed it. However, his luck is really good. An elixir let him smoothly break through to the beginning of the prefecture level, and successfully become the backbone of the mountain people. Great, I've made a breakthrough. Thank you. Thank you. After opening his eyes, he arched his hands around. Then his face was overjoyed, and he quickly walked to Yi Tian and bowed to the ground. Cultivation is high, but don't forget the word awe. Yi Tian looks at this prefecture level beginning, light way. The younger generation, bearing in mind the teachings of the older generation, will always walk around the world with a sense of awe, and will never do anything to force others into difficulties, intimidate and lure them. The prefectural leader nodded respectfully at the beginning. Ha ha. Hearing this, the old man of Taiyi Gate snorted twice. That prefecture level initial stage hears a sound, the facial expression immediately some fear, uneasily looked to the leaf day. At this time, he also reflected that the 8 words of force others to meet difficulties and coercion and inducement were just the way the Taiyi old man used to deal with the fire spirit jade seller. Now I say such words, it's like hitting the old man in the face of Taemin. Seeing this, Yi Tian waved his hand casually. At the beginning of the prefecture level, he immediately walked out of the tent like an amnesty. He didn't look back. He was afraid that if he didn't go anymore, the Taemin old man would be bad for himself. The old man of Taemin didn't catch up with him. Instead, he took a proud look at Yi Tian, and his eyes were full of ridicule and ridicule. Soon, the trade will continue. With the change of the shooting stone to the Delingdon, the trading scene became more and more popular. Moreover, many mountain people took out many things that were usually regarded as chicken ribs to try their luck in Yi Tian. It's a pity that not everything is your chicken ribs and my elbow to Yi Tian. He was interested in what these mountain people took out at first, but later he was not interested in it. More than 3 hours later, the internal trade fair ended. As soon as the fair was over, many mountain people who had just made a successful trade rushed out of the tent. It's obvious that even if there is the saying of no hands on the mountainside from Tianyun people, it's very common to kill people and grab treasure. The honest prefectural who sold Huo Linjiu wanted to leave at the beginning, but he looked at Yi Tian from behind and bit his lower lip. Instead of leaving, he chose to stay in the tent. This scene naturally falls into Yi Tian's eyes. After making his eyes slightly different, he doesn't say much. Mr. Tianyun, I want to talk to you about something. Do you have time? Immediately after, Yi Tian arched his hand to Tianyun and said with a smile. Of course. Tianyun people smell speech, a joy in the heart, without thinking nodded. Tianyun, right and wrong are all due to the strong. Are you going to protect this boy? On hearing this, the old man of Taiyi Gate frowned, looked at the man on Tianyun, and then looked at Yi Tian with a sneer and said, Aren't you just a bull? Why are you planning to let Tianyun protect you now? I wanted you to live a little longer, but I didn't expect you to wait so much. Yi Tian chuckled and looked at the old man of Taemin and said, Get out of the tent and wait for me. Take a look at the scenery around you. This is the last time you see the scenery in your life. Venti? Hearing Yi Tian's words, Yan Bing can't help but wonder why he says so. Ha, I'll wait for you for half an hour. If you don't come out after half an hour, don't blame me for disobeying the rules of Tianyun. The old man of Taiyi Gate looks at Yi Tian with a cold smile, turns around and walks out of the tent. Xiaoyu, Shengwan Jinhong, although he is the same as me, he is also the peak of the prefecture level, but he has a kind of complete local alchemy, and his strength is very strong. Moreover, he is famous for his narrow temperament. You should be careful, Xiaoyu. After the old man left Taiyi Gate, he said to Yi Tianshan. No harm. Yi Tian can't hear it. It's Tianyun. He nodded with a smile and said, Tianyun, I don't know if I can exchange other Danfang with you for that Shuailing jade? Although Yi Tian is not injured now, Shilingyu is a good thing that can't be missed. In particular, Yi Tian now has the congenital spirit wood. Because of the symbiosis of water and wood, if combined with the rich water element aura contained in the water spirit jade, he will have a much greater chance to achieve the wood element body with the help of the congenital spirit wood.
Other Danfang?
The person on the sky cloud doubted to see Yi Tian one eye, then tentatively Wei, don't know you're that kind of Danfang, have the effect that breaks through the sky level?
If not, how could I ask you if you would like to exchange? Yi Tian nodded with a smile.
What you mean is that you have other pills that can make people break through the heaven level besides the heavenly elixir.
How is that possible?
The person on the sky cloud hears the answer of the leaf day, can't help but open big mouth, startled voice. Not only him, but also Yin Bing, who was honest at the beginning, was shocked. You know, every one of these Dan prescriptions that break through the great situation spread among people on the mountain is unique. Over the years, it's not that no one from the mountain has tried to revise Dan Fang, but unfortunately, no one has succeeded. But now, Yi Tian even said that he could make people break through the sky level without Tianlingdan.
How could he not be shocked?
If it wasn't for Yi Tian's killing the little master of dishes sect at the foot of the mountain before, people in Tianyun would think that he was a madman now.
Xiaoyu, are you sure you're not kidding? After a long silence, the man on Tianyun still asked in disbelief.
I said, I never joke. Yi Tian picked up his eyebrows and said faintly, besides, this kind of pill is not a rare elixir.
What's irreplaceable? Well, I have one side.
Write it down and have a look for yourself. The man on Tianyun looks at Yi Tian in disbelief, and then nods. Hearing the sound, Yi Tian took out his mobile phone, quickly knocked out a prescription, handed it to Master Tianyun, and said, some names of the elixirs may have some deviations. I have already marked them with characteristics. You don't need to pay attention to my name, just substitute the name of the elixir you know according to the characteristics.
Even if you can't remember the name of the elixir, there will be confusion. Is this prescription really reliable?
Tianyun people listened to Yi Tian's words. For a time some can't laugh or cry, but still suspicious toward Dan Fang swept one eye. Fortunately, every elixir in this prescription is exactly the same as the elixir he knew, and there is no confusion in the name. After confirming this point, Tianyun man closed his eyes and began to deliberate in his heart. Yan Bing and the simple and honest prefectural officer are looking at the people on the sky nervously at the beginning, holding their breath in concentration, wanting to hear his answer. You know, if the damn prescription provided by Yi Tian is really feasible, then it will be an unprecedented and earth-shattering feat. This prescription is really feasible. Although Master Tianyun doesn't know how to make pills, he can also see that it is a kind of pills to help people break through the realm of cultivation. And as far as he feels, the grade of this pill seems to be quite high, and its efficacy is quite strong. If you can get it and take it, the probability of breaking the sky level may be very high. Think of here, Tianyun people holding the hand of the mobile phone, involuntarily began to shake up, eye ground hope look flickering.
You are so talented that you can make a high-quality prescription that can replace Tianlingdan. It's really admirable.
This is the first of its kind in history, and will certainly benefit countless mountain people.
I thank you for them. Without any hesitation, the man on Tianyun immediately bowed deeply to Yi Tian, with an excited look. At this moment, he was very lucky that he didn't force Yi Tian to leave under the pressure of Shangwan Jinhong. Otherwise, how could he have the chance at this moment? Even, he had no doubt that if Shangwan Jinhong knew about this Danfang affair, the old man would regret his intestines. If not, he would run to Yi Tian and kowtow to Yi Tian on his knees in exchange for his understanding. After all, it's the dream of all mountain people, and it's what every prefecture level peak dreams about. The difference between the prefecture level and the heaven level is actually a huge watershed. If you break through the heaven level, you can have more incredible names. Needless to say, after breaking through the sky level, no one will call you prefecture level master, but call you sky level old monster. This kind of appellation, just thinking about it, makes the people on Tianyun feel intoxicated. What? Can Yi Tian really replace Tianling pill with that Danfang?
At the beginning of hearing this, Yan Bing and the honest prefect felt their ears buzzing and staring at Yi Tian.
They couldn't believe it.
If you don't see it with your own eyes, who can believe that Yi Tian has accomplished a great event that has been tried by countless people for countless years, but failed to succeed?
You don't have to flatter me.
Since you approve this Dan Fang, can you give me that Shuailing jade? With a faint smile, Yi Tian looks at Tian Yun and says calmly. In Yin Bing's opinion, the so-called superior heaven level is just the beginning of the cultivation threshold for Yi Tian, who was once a great monk in Yupu realm.
As for the so-called Tianlingden, I'm sorry for its name at all. It's just a kind of basic low-grade pill. When it was put in the former Qingming blessed land, no one would look at it more. As for him, there is no possibility of refining this kind of low-grade pills. He is very curious, if these people know that he can actually take out no less than 200 kinds of similar Dan Fang, how wonderful the expression on his face will be.
Of course. Without any hesitation, Master Tian Yun immediately took out the Shuailing jade and handed it to Yi Tianhou respectfully. Then he looked forward to it and said, since you can write this prescription, you should also be able to refine the pills on it? Dan prescription is precious, but for him, only according to Dan prescription, the above elixir is refined into Dan medicine, that is useful. And he didn't have the ability to make pills.
Yes.
Yi Tian nodded without thinking, and then looked at the man in the sky in surprise and said, how, have you collected all the elixirs recorded above? You know, the prescription he gave to Master Tian Yun was actually a little tricky. There was not only a list of elixirs for refining pills, but also a list of several kinds of elixirs he could use. It was just that he changed the compatibility based on his experience in making pills.
Although these elixirs are nothing in Fangsu and Lingyu, they are rare on Earth.
I got all these elixirs by chance. Tian Yun people are embarrassed to smile, but his face is full of pride.
This guy is really lucky.
Yi Tian hears the sound, can't help but tut-tut to say surprise twice. I got all these things from the Mirage when it opened more than 10 years ago. It was because of that opportunity that I had today's accomplishments. Unfortunately, a person can only enter a Mirage once in his life, otherwise, I must go again. Seeing Yi Tian's look, the man in Tian Yun immediately explained, and then said, if you can help me refine this pill, you can mention any conditions.
As long as I can do it, I will be willing to do it. It was taken from the Mirage.
It seems that there are many good things in this secret place. Yi Tian nodded slightly, but his heart moved. Not only that, he also captured a lot of information from Tian Yun Shangren's words. Since one can only enter the Mirage once in one's life, I'm afraid many people will choose to enter the Mirage after the cultivation is strong, so that they can take more things. So, this time the Mirage opens, there must be a lot of masters in it, and even, maybe, there will be a sky-level peak to enter the Mirage. Looking for an opportunity to move forward is unknown. I can refine pills, but I don't have a furnace.
I don't know if you have a furnace, or can you buy one? After thinking a little, Yi Tian looks forward to seeing humanity on the sky.
Although Filething is suspected to exist in the cave, he is not sure whether there is a Dan furnace in it.
Tian Yun has a lot of friends. Maybe he can help himself.
Dan Lu? When Tian Yun heard this, his brow turned into a knot in one's heart immediately. After thinking a little hard, he looked at Yi Tian and shook his head with a bitter smile. He said, I can't find such a thing. However, there is a word hidden in Tian Yun's heart that he doesn't dare to say. Yi Tian said before that he was a member of Qingming sect, and Qingming sect was the best at refining pills among the 3 sects and 6 sects, and even monopolized the sect of Tianlingden.
He was born here, so why didn't he even have a Dan stove? Is this little friend an outcast of Qingming sect?
Well, that's good. I'm trying to find a Dan stove recently.
I'll contact you when I find it. As for the reward for your alchemy, we will talk about it in detail after I find the alchemy furnace.
But don't worry, this time won't be too long, and the reward I want will definitely be lower than what you want from others, and the quality of the pill will be higher than what any of them can make. At this time, Yi Tian has made a decision, looking at the sky clouds.
Well, I'll wait for your good news. Tian Yun Shangren is overjoyed, immediately nods, and then tells Yi Tian his contact information.
You know, among the people on the mountain, the alchemists who can refine the spirit pill can be counted almost with one slap.
Moreover, these alchemists are greedy.
If they want to help refine the spirit pill, they will have to pay a great reward. He once heard that once upon a time there was a prefecture-level peak who went to ask a Dan master to help refine the Tianlingdon. As a result, the Dan master directly opened his mouth and asked the other party to give the equivalent of Tianlingdon in exchange. As a result, the prefecture-level peak, in order to get the reward for the Dan master, did not hesitate to risk his life. As a result, he died miserably in the hands of a fierce beast. In the end, Dan was not refined and his life was lost. But Tian now gives a guarantee that he must be the one who gets the lowest reward among all the people who help alchemy.
How can he not make people in Tianyun happy?
Well, I'll get in touch with you when I get the news. After writing down his contact information, Tian turned his head and looked at the honest prefectural leader. After glancing at him, he said with a smile, "You've listened to us for so long. Now it's time to talk about the reason why you stay, poop." At the beginning of hearing the news, the honest prefecture magistrate's face immediately turned red. After staring at Tian, he knelt down in front of Tian without saying a word. After knocking his head a few times, he looked up at Tian and said in a deep voice, "I'll stay here. First, I want to thank you for helping me fight against injustice and let me sell the Huoling Jade at a high price, so that my middle and small girls can have a chance. Second, it's because of me that you are in trouble and killed. So I'll stay here and fight with you. I won't regret my death. Though I die, I don't regret it." Even Tian was stunned when he heard the 4 words from the simple and honest prefecture level. During his 200 years of cultivation, he met all kinds of people, not only those who committed great evils, but also many good people. However, it was the first time that he met such a sincere person as he was at the beginning of the prefecture level. This is because although the early sentence of this prefecture-level official did not regret his death, it was not polite, not hypocritical, but a fact. After all, there is only one dead word waiting for a prefecture-level leader to reach his peak at the beginning.
"Master Tianyun, I know you are kind and righteous.
In this card, there is the money I just sold Huolinjiu. Please help me to send it to the People's Hospital of Tianhe City and give it to a woman named Xingli. Let's say that this is the money that Li Dazhuang asked you to transfer to her and ask her to give Xiao medical treatment. If you have spare time, please help me to say sorry to her. I can't take care of her. But if there is an afterlife, I'd like to be husband and wife with her." At this time, the simple and honest prefectural officer looked at the Tianyun man at the beginning, prayed, and said slowly, "This Li Dazhuang really wants to live and die with me. Even Tuga used it."
Tian looked at Li Dazhuang in amazement.
For a moment, he didn't know what to say. He has seen people who attach importance to love and righteousness, but he has never seen such people who attach importance to love and righteousness as Li Dazhuang. "Boy, are you afraid to come out, or are you going to delay and dig a tunnel to escape?" At this time, along the outside of the tent, came Shangguan Jinhon's cold laughter. "As long as you tell Shangguan Jinhon that you can refine elixir that can break the sky level, he will let you go."
Skycloud person hears sound, looking at Leaf Day, Sync a voice way.
Although Tian killed the little master of Dishes sect and 4 prefecture-level mountain people before, among them, the most powerful one was only in the middle of the prefecture level.
Not only that, Tian also took advantage of Tenlei's restraint. Therefore, Master Tianyun doesn't think that Tian has the possibility to defeat Shangguan Jinhong.
"Even if he wanted to let me go, I didn't mean to let him go."
Tian chuckles a light way. People in Tianyun can't help but feel like Tian gang. They don't know what to say.
He thought that Tian would not refuse his kindness, but he didn't expect that Tian refused his proposal without hesitation. Not only that, listening to Tian's words, it seems that he regards Shangguan Jinhong, who is famous among the people in the mountains and has the highest accomplishments at the prefecture level, as a mole ant kneading at will. In this case, he didn't know whether to say Tian was brave or he was bold.
"In 5 minutes, I'll be out. Take advantage of now, you can see more scenery outside. This is the last chance for you to see the light in your life."
At this time, Tian gives a cold voice to Shangguan Jinhong outside the tent.
"Ha ha ha, boy, don't brag about the conch anymore. Even if I give you 5 more minutes, you can't turn the world around."
Shangguan Jinhong laughed, and his words were full of satire.
Tian doesn't utter a word.
He takes out the fierce sword from the storage ring.
Where did he make this sword?
This sudden long sword made the three people in the field, including Tian Yun Shangren, Yan Bing, and Li Dezhuang, have some silly eyes. Fire just when they were puzzled, Yi Tian already took out the wind shooting stone. After a slight rebuke, he flipped his hand, and a flame immediately appeared along the palm. The flame turned a few times, and the Shifengshi immediately turned into a light cyan solution.
Cast.
Yi Tian chides lightly in the mouth, urges the magic power, affects those light cyan solution, outlines a magnificent pattern in the air, and then converges to the fierce long sword. When the two touch each other, the light cyan solution of the wind stone immediately disappears into the fierce sword. Just for a moment, Yi Tian immediately felt that the sword suddenly became light, and even could hardly feel any weight.
Not only that, the feeling of blood fusion is becoming stronger and stronger now. Flying sword.
Yi Tian stretched out his hand to hold the handle of the sword. He couldn't help but want to raise his head and roar. Flying sword in hand, at this moment, he finally had a kind of feeling of returning to the square-inch spiritual realm and finding the great monk of Yupu realm again.
What's your weapon refining method? Yan Bing looks at Yi Tian's means and says in amazement.
Although she is not good at refining weapons, when she was at Tian Gangate, she had seen many people refining weapons.
But no matter who, even her master Cho Chanchun, was refining weapons in a way that Yi Tian could see.
The melted liquid can be assembled into various veins in the air and enter the weapon. If you don't see it with your own eyes, who can believe it is true?
That's all I have. Yi Tian hears Yin and smiles at Yan Bing. Then he turns his head and looks at Li Dezhuang calmly and says, "Don't you say you don't regret even if you die? Let's go with me." For once Yi Tian saw many cruel mountain people. He suddenly met Li Dezhuang, a special case.
He thought that he might be a trustworthy and cultivable person. But at the moment, he was not sure whether Li Dezhuang's words were just boasting or whether he was really willing to advance and retreat with us.
If it's the latter, he doesn't mind.
Give Li Dezhuang a fortune and let him have a different life. But if it is the former, it can only say sorry, because he is most tired of inconsistency.
Master Tian Yun.
Li Dezhuang nodded heavily, then prayed to pass the bank card to Tian Yun.
Well, I promise you, if there is any accident, I will give the money to Xingli even if I go all out to cut it.
Seeing this, the man on Tian Yun reached out to take the bank card and gave a guarantee in a deep voice. Master, I'll help you kill his strength first, and then you can do it again. Hearing this, Li Dezhuang arched his hand to Yi Tian, and then quickly walked out of the tent.
Ha ha ha, I thought you were digging tunnels in the tent. Now it seems that you have found a helper. However, you don't have a good eye for help.
You have found such a weak chicken. As soon as they get out of the tent, when Shangguan Jinhong sees Li Dezhuang who was following Yi Tian, he immediately laughs with ridicule.
Shangguan Jinhong, you made a mistake, and believe me, you made a big mistake.
No matter what the result is, you will regret it. The Skycloud superior person looks at the superior officer Jinhong to shake head after, full-face sympathy way. Tian Yun, even if you want to protect him, please think of a better excuse. I'll regret killing such a boy who doesn't know the greatness of heaven and earth.
Shangguan Jinhong looked at Tian Yun and despised him. Seeing this, Master Tian Yun didn't want to say a word more. He just stood by quietly and planned that if Wan Yi Tianli couldn't catch him, he would say that Yi Tian could make pills with similar effect to Tianling pills, so that Shangguan Jinhong could let Yi Tian go.
Master, since it's because of me, I'll help you find out his details now. At this time, Li Dezhuang turned his head and looked at Yi Tian. With a calm voice, he drew a long sword from his back with his backhand. After a loud drink, he slashed to Shangguan Jinhong. Originally, this person is really affectionate and righteous, not boastful. Looking at this step, Yi Tian finally completely determined that Li Dezhuang was not the kind of person with false benevolence and different opinions.
You want to fight me?
I give you a chance to go, but you don't. In this case, I'll accompany this boy to his death.
Seeing this, Shangguan Jinhong sneered, then slapped his hand on the ground. Hum.
In a flash, the original flat ground, like a tide, rippling layers of waves, ups and downs.
Boom.
Then, when the rippling waves like tides came out in front of Li Dezhuang's body, the turbulent ground suddenly split a hole.
It didn't give Li Dazhuan any chance to react at all. It was like a wild animal's open mouth, trying to swallow Li Dazhuan into his stomach. There is no sign of this. Yan Bing and others just see the sudden situation, and they feel terrible. It seems that they have seen the picture of Li Dazhuan being bitten by the crack, sinking into the ground and having no life to live. Brush. But almost at the moment when Li Dazhuan's body was shaking, as if he was about to fall into a crack at any time, Yi Tian suddenly appeared beside him, raised his hand and pushed him gently. After pushing him away from this dangerous place, he calmly took a look at Guan Jinhong and said, "Save your strength, your opponent is me." "What about you?" "You must die as well." Shangguan Jinhong sneered and raised his hand abruptly. A breath of fierce fighting with Li Dazhuan was sent out from him. Boom! 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 At the same time, the ground, which used to surge like the tide, is now like a raging wave. The whole earth is shaking and roaring. It seems that an earthquake of medium intensity is breaking out here. Ferocious cracks appeared almost in the blink of an eye and swept towards Yi Tian. There's something about this old man. Yi Tianling looks at this scene and confirms that Master Tian Yun just didn't lie. Shangguan Jinhong really mastered a complete Taoist art. Younger generation, even if your Lei Xingxian skill is extraordinary, how about it? In front of me, you still can't escape death. Shangguan Jinhong grins grimly. It seems that he has already seen the tragic picture of Yi Tian being engulfed by the cracked soil and squeezed into meat sauce to die. Do you think that you are the only one in the world who understands the complete Taoist practice? Yi Tian stood and did not move. He looked at Shangguan Jinhong mockingly. He raised his hand and said calmly, "Landslide." Boom! 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 In a flash, with Yi Tian's feet as the dot, a violent wave, like a prairie fire, spread out suddenly. The momentum was even more fierce than that of Shangguan Jinhong. Boom! When the two waves collided, the cracks created by Shangguan Jinhong's earthly Taoist art immediately disintegrated and disappeared in the fierce roar. How can it be? How can you have two complete fairies? Seeing this, Shangguan Jinhong looks at Yi Tian in disbelief. Not only is Shangguan Jinhong, but also Tian Yun looks at Yi Tian in amazement. He only heard that King Mingzong was good at Lei Xingxian, but he didn't expect that Yi Tian had mastered the complete local Xingxian besides Lei Xingxian. Moreover, whether in terms of momentum or strength, Yi Tian's control over tuxing fairy art seems to be better than that of the famous Shangguan Jinhong. Is that all you have? After Yi Tian breaks Shangguan Jinhong's Taoist art, he doesn't continue to do it. Instead, he looks at him mockingly and says nothing. I'm really rampant. I didn't expect you to master the complete Taoist art. However, even if you are good at local immortality, you will have a strong tongue, but this is the last time you are rampant. Let me take you on the road. Hearing this, Shangguan Jinhong immediately woke up from his absence. With his backhand, he took out a long sword with a faint blood light on his back. After clenching it, he jumped up and cut it off towards Yi Tian. A knife from Knife Gang Sin Ran, heaven and earth are all strong intention of killing. Even there was a faint smell of blood in the air. This picture can be said to be extremely frightening. I'm crazy? You are wrong. No matter how rampant I am not as rampant as you, because if I were you, I would never dare to fight with me. Yi Tian looked at Shangguan Jinhong with a faint smile. With a wave of his backhand, he said faintly, "Go with the sword." Zheng. A language falls, the fierce soldier flying sword that Yi Tian holds in the hand, immediately turned into a blood-color light, toward the upper officer Jinhong to cut that knife to fight and go. Haha, I don't know whether to say you are brave or delusional when I fight against you with a long sword as a concealed weapon. Shangguan Jinhong smiles coldly. As soon as the blade turns, he cuts down the fierce sword heavily. He wants to cut the sword to one side and then kill Yi Tian. San Lang. In a flash, the swords hit each other heavily, and the sparks splashed everywhere. An incredible scene appeared. I saw that, along with the position where the sword hit, Shangguan Jinhong's long sword actually had a half-foot long blade and fell to the ground. How could that be? Shangguan Jinhong looked at the guillotine in his hand, and didn't react for a long time. This long sword is his favorite.
In order to make it more sharp, Shangguan Jinhong really wasted a lot of energy and made a lot of rare materials. Blowing hair and cutting iron like mud are just pediatrics for this knife. Even if it was a weapon carefully forged by the mountain people, he could easily cut it with one knife. Even some heaven-level old monsters of Tai sect coveted his long sword. But now, his beloved long sword has been cut in half. Zheng. Just when Shangguan Jinhong was absent-minded, he suddenly heard a sword ringing in front of him. Flying sword, it's impossible, how could that be? When he raised his head, he felt as if he had been hit by a thunderbolt. He was stunned. He looked at the fierce flying sword suspended in the air, shivering all over. He was carrying a long knife like a puppet gudong. Not only is Shangguan Jinhong, no matter Yan Bing or Li Dazhuan or Tian Yun, all of them are dull at the moment. They are staring at the fierce swords floating in the air. They open their mouths wide and can't make any sound except for swallowing saliva. They never thought that they could see a legendary flying sword in their lifetime. You, who on earth are you? After a long time, Shangguan Jinhong looks at Yi Tian in horror and trembles. Why do you remember to ask me this question now? Old man, you were just a little boy. Did you have a good time? I said you were brave, but you didn't want to admit it. Yi Tian coldly a smile, light way. Shangguan Jinhong's face was pale and changeable. He was staring at the flying sword, but he didn't dare to move. He felt that along with the flying sword, there was a sharp airlock on him. As long as he dares to do anything, I'm afraid the flying sword will be cut off immediately and his head will be cut off. At this moment, he was really afraid and regretted it. If you knew this, even if you lent him 100 courage, he would not dare to fight Yi Tian. However, before that, he really did not expect that in this world, there was someone who could use the flying sword. This is a legendary thing. If such things were not seen by his own eyes, but told by others, I'm afraid he would think that the man was insane or hallucinated. Let you live 35 minutes more, you should be satisfied. Now, take your head to sacrifice sword. Yi Tian sneered, holding the sword Ju's right hand and waving it lightly. Zheng. With a clear and loud sound like a dragon's song, the flying sword suddenly turns in the air and flies to Shangguan Jinhong's neck like a dragon. Forgive me, master. I know I'm wrong. Please let me go. Hearing this, Shangguan Jinhong knelt down and begged to Yi Tian. However, when his knees fell to the ground, there was a twinkle in the fundus of his eyes, and a burst of blue veins on the back of his hands. Wrong? It's late. It's no use for Taemin to know their mistakes. The Leaf Day is indifferent. A smile, light way. Shangguan Jinhong's small differences have all fallen into his eyes, but he is too lazy to point out. Flying sword in hand, waiting for Shangguan Jinhong, there is only one outcome, that is, death. When this sword becomes mine, I'll see what else you can fight with me. Just at this time, Shangguan Jinhong jumped up abruptly, and at the same time, he reached out to grasp the handle of the fierce soldier's flying sword. No! Seeing this scene, Yan Bing's heart sank immediately. Take my flying sword? I'm wrong. You're not very rampant. You're rampant to the end. But unexpectedly, Yi Tian didn't even react when he looked at Shangguan Jinhong's action. On the contrary, the color of ridicule in the corner of his mouth became stronger. Haha, this sword is me. At this time, Shangguan Jinhong's hand had grasped the hilt of the fierce soldier's flying sword, and his face showed a touch of ecstasy. But before he had finished his sentence, the ecstasy on Shangguan Jinhong's face suddenly froze. Instead, he was filled with fear and pain that could not be concealed. His hand felt like a cactus. When he released it, he uttered a shrill howl, and along his fingers, there were red blood drops dripping down. This what's going on here? Tian Yun, Shangren, Yan Bing, and Li Dazhuan look at each other with incomprehensible faces. Just now Shangguan Jinhong's hand had already grasped the hilt, but why did it suddenly release? What's more, a good hand is bleeding just because it touches the hilt? It seems that there are no sharp spines on the hilt. You are so rampant that you don't believe it. Well, now I'll eat the bad fruit myself. Yi Tianjianju gently moves, and the flying sword flies to him. Then he raises his hand and shakes it towards Shangguan Jinhong. After Yi Tian grasped the handle of the sword, his palm was as good as ever, let alone bleeding.
He didn't even break the oilskin. This sword, isn't it the legendary god soldier who recognizes the Lord? If someone takes it, he will eat it back. People on Tianyun looked at this scene, and suddenly a bold idea came out. Recognize the Lord.
You have a flying sword that recognizes the Lord. Not only Tianyun, Shangwan Jinhong also thought of the strange answer, lost his voice and exclaimed.
You are not too stupid. Leaf Day picks eyebrow to smile, light way.
Just as these two people think, Lingding can recognize the master, and only let the master and the people approved by the master use it.
If other people want to snatch it rashly, they will automatically fight back, which is the end of Shangwan Jinhong.
Even, there are some immortal soldiers in legend who have given birth to complete spiritual consciousness. They only recognize one master all their lives. After the death of the master, he either collapses into heaven and earth and goes with the master, or he transforms himself into various forms and walks in the world, or he chooses his own successor.
If he can't, he will wait for thousands of years.
Of course, it doesn't mean that all the spirit soldiers who recognize the Lord can't be captured.
As long as your cultivation is high enough, your mind is strong enough, and your mind moves, you can erase other people's mark of recognizing the Lord in the spirit soldiers and turn that spirit soldier into your own. Master, please forgive me. This time I really dare not. I give up. Please forgive me. Hearing this, Shangwan Jinhong kneels down in front of Yi Tian and kowtows to him. This time, he did not dare to have half of the lucky, only pure appeal. He is just a prefecture-level peak. How can he fight against a strong man who has the master's flying sword? Shangwan Jinhong, in fact, you should have knelt down and kowtowed for mercy long ago. I might as well tell you that this elder has developed a pill that can replace Tianling pill. At this time, Tianyun looked at Shangwan Jinhong and sneered, and his name for Yi Tian changed again. From the beginning of the little friend to later you, and then become today's senior. You know, he and Shangwan Jinhong are in the same realm. Since Shangwan Jinhong, who was born in Tai clan and is stronger than him, is not Yi Tian's opponent, let alone him. No way. How can it be? When Shangwan Jinhong heard Tianyun's words, he was stunned and lost his voice in disbelief. Believe it or not, it's up to you. Anyway, I believe it. The Sky Cloud person lightly laughs way. Master, please forgive me. I have many elixirs in Tai sect. As long as you are willing to let me go, I will go back and get those elixirs and ask you to help me make pills. The extra elixirs will be my thanks. The value of these elixirs will never be less than a heavenly elixir. Shangwan Jinhong looks at Tianyun Master's face, and immediately reacts that Tianyun Master must have solid evidence to say so. This makes him feel that his intestines are green, like a chicken pecking rice. He kowtows to Yi Tian crazily, and at the same time, he constantly tempts him with high reward. Heaven! This is the dream of all prefecture-level peaks. This is true of Tianyun people, and Shangwan Jinhong, of course. Especially the Shangwan Jinhong, who was born in Taimen, had a stronger idea than Tianyun. Because only by breaking through the heaven level, can we get a transcendent position in the sect, and can we get the inclination of massive cultivation resources? Any disciple, even the real leader, should salute respectfully when they see you. However, it is too difficult to refine the Tianlingdan. In order to stabilize its position as the first sect on the mountain, King Mingzong deliberately controlled the number of people in other sects Tianlingdan, and only a few of them were put into the outside world every year. Even if Taimen took 2, they would only be given to the younger and better qualified prefectural peaks in Zongmen. After all, the younger you are, the longer you will live, the better your aptitude is, the farther you will go in Tianji and the more helpful you will be to Zongmen. Shangwan Jinhong had already missed 5 times because he was too old. This kind of feeling, which can be seen but not touched, is more painful than that of Tianyun people who can't even see it. Now, with such an opportunity, how can Shangwan Jinhong not beg for Yi Tian's forgiveness, and get his help to promote himself to Tian level? Master, please give me a chance. I swear that I will repent in the future. As long as you help me break through the heaven level, I will give you all the Lingyu and elixir I have accumulated over the years. In addition, when I become the heaven level, I will automatically become the elder of Tai sect. At that time, I can let you be the chief worshipper of Tai sect.
I have a superior status and extraordinary power.
Shangwan Jinhong kept pleading, and his forehead was bleeding.
He detailed, as long as his performance is sincere enough, given the conditions are good enough, then Yi Tian will be moved. After all, he had never met the mountain people who did not like Lingyu, Lingyao, and power. Looking at him like this, Yan Bing and Li Dazhuang have a sense of absurdity in their hearts. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, who can believe that the top experts at the prefecture level would be so humble? Yan Bing, in particular, has some doubts. If Zhou Changchun learns about this, will he be like Shangwan Jinhong Zhang? But just when Shangwan Jinhong thought that Yi Tian would be moved, a sword suddenly came to his ear, followed by a flash of bloodlight, and he felt his chest suddenly cool. When he looked down, he suddenly found that he had a long sword in his chest. You.
Shangwan Jinhong looks at Yi Tian in amazement, and his eyes are full of disbelief. He couldn't believe that there were people in the world who didn't like Lingyu, Lingyao, and power. But before he finished his sentence, he suddenly felt that there seemed to be a strange traction force in the flying sword along his chest, which aroused his vitality and blood essence, and rushed to the flying sword. Immediately after that, he saw that along the chest where he was pierced by the sword, a layer of shriveled visible to the naked eye spread rapidly and began to spread all over his body. Every time you pass by, the flesh and blood that was full of elasticity suddenly becomes like a dry branch, losing its elasticity and activity. Just like in the blink of an eye, the speed of time in that area has been accelerated thousands of times. But less than 3 breaths, Shangwan Jinhong's body turned into fly ash and dissipated between heaven and earth. God!
Yan Bing looks at this terrible scene, his heart is creepy, and his body can't help shaking.
Not only him, but also Tian Yun Shangren and Li Dazhuang's legs are shaking uncontrollably at the moment.
As mountain people, they have seen a very cruel way to die, but it is the first time that they have seen such a strange way. A big living man, suddenly turned into fly ash, such a picture, if you do not see it with your own eyes, who dares to believe it is true?
You want to buy me off, but you don't deserve it.
Yi Tian stretched out his hand and brushed away the fly ash.
The feud between Taemin and him is as deep as the sea. Shangwan Jinhong doesn't provoke him.
If he lets the old man go, it's already high praise. Since he's provoked, how can he give up? As for the so-called rewards of Shangwan Jinhongshu, Yi Tian felt extremely ridiculous. You know, he's going to level Taemin with one sword. After the collapse of Tai Gate, those things in the gate were naturally his Yi Tian's. By him what the future would have belonged to him.
Shangwan Jinhong is not dreaming.
What is it?
Do you mind if I take this Wuling Jade?
Immediately after that, Yi Tian stoops to take some of the items left behind from Shangwan Jinhong after he turns into fly ash. He bumps up and down, looks at Li Dazhuang and says with a smile.
I've sold it to him.
It's your skill, master. Li Dazhuang waved his hand in a hurry and said in awe. When Yi Tian hears the news, he holds the Huolinjiu tightly.
Sua Wangwen's idea runs.
Huolinjiu immediately turns into a pure fire attribute aura and enters his body. Then it becomes jade powder and slips down from his fingers.
Unfortunately, this Wuling Jade is too small.
After absorbing all the pure aura, Yi Tian sighed a little. The speed of absorbing fire spirit jade to improve cultivation is much faster than that of absorbing heaven and earth spirit. If anyone can give him 100 pieces of fire spirit jade, he is confident that he can push his cultivation to the sea view. What's this? A little later, Yi Tian picked up another sheepskin roll tied with golden silk thread from Shangwan Jinhong.
This is the only thing on Shangwan Jinhong except Wuling Jade.
Map. This map, how is it so similar to the mirage map sold by the blind old man? Yi Tian unfolds the scroll and immediately discovers that the map of Shangwan Jinhong's scroll is almost the same as the map given by the blind old man. Moreover, the map of the blind old man seems to be more comprehensive.
There are many labels about architecture and elixir, which are not on Shangwan Jinhong's sheepskin map.
Mr. Tian Yun, you have been to a mirage. Help me to see if the situation on this map is similar to what you have seen. After pondering a little, Yi Tian handed the map of the parchment to the Tian Yun master and asked him to identify it for him. Yes, it's a mirage map. This map is already the most delicate one in the mirage map. I guess Shangwan Jinhong doesn't think he has any hope of getting Tianlingdon, so he wants to try his luck in the Mirage.
Tianyun Master took the sheepskin map, looked at it carefully, nodded slightly, and said,
"Which blind old man sold it is a real picture, not a fake." Yi Tian heard this, surprised to find a fact.
"The map sold by the blind old man is indeed a secret map. I just don't know how to get it by the old man, so I sell it. However, that guy is really powerful.
He has copied such a thick pile.
It's estimated that there are 180 copies.
It's a pity that the blind old man's character and reputation are really bad. What he brings out is clearly a real blessing, but it is also regarded as a pitfall by the public. He is allowed to eat dust on the stall, and no one cares about it." However, to learn that the blind old man was selling Mirage real maps, Yi Tian was more curious about the blind old man than he was about not buying maps at that time. Although he didn't get the map, Yi Tian believes that with his 200 years of experience in cultivating Taoism and his attainments in field array, even if he doesn't have the map of the blind old man, it shouldn't be a big problem. After all, on the earth, if there is a place where he can be trapped and killed, then those mountain people have no way to survive. In that case, Mirage is not a lucky place, but a forbidden place. It's the blind old man. It's just the cultivation of the middle yellow class, but it's even more incredible that he can bring out a real Mirage map. Even at the moment, Yi Tian has some doubts about whether the blind old man sentenced to as a human being really detects something from him. However, this matter is so secret that Yi Tian doesn't feel the sign of being explored. How did the blind old man find out? Unless, the blind old man's cultivation has reached an incredible level, the so-called middle yellow level is just his cover-up. But if so, how can such a high-level monk appear on the earth with such a thin aura? "Master, my daughter is still waiting for me to bring money back to save her life. Now that it's over, I'll go first. If you need any help in the future, please go to Fulong community of Tianhe City to find me Li Dazhuang. At that time, whether it's a sea of fire or an abyss, as long as I frown, I'm not human." But at this time, Li Dazhuang came to Yi Tian, saluted him respectfully and said in a deep voice, "What's wrong with your daughter? How can she need so much money for treatment?" Hearing this, Yi Tian wakes up from his meditation and looks at Li Dazhuang and asks suspiciously. He understood that the secret of the blind old man was something he couldn't think of now. Maybe he could only find it next time he saw the blind old man again. But Li Dazhuang, with a simple heart and a strong sense of love and righteousness, is indeed a teen worthy of cultivation. Yi Tian doesn't mind helping him once more. "My daughter was born with a disorder of meridians. Over the years, I have tried many ways and found many doctors, but there is no cure. I have to hang my life in the hospital." When Li Dazhuang heard about his daughter, a touch of tenderness and pain flashed through his eyes and said slowly, "Channel disorder." Yi Tian hears the speech, slightly speechless, looking at Li Dazhuang's eyes, a little more sympathy. There are established channels for the meridians of the human body. If such channels are disordered, the blood gas will be disordered, and then the vitality will be weak, so that people suffering from this disease will live in endless pain every day. With today's medical conditions and the ability of mountain people, there is no way to cure such a disease. The only way is to live in the intensive care unit and rely on medical resources. Fortunately, Li Dazhuang was a mountain dweller at the beginning of the prefecture level. If a child of an ordinary family got such a disease, he would die before he reached the full moon. And encountered such a thing, no wonder Li Dazhuang will be precious fireling jade, used in exchange for worldly money. Of course, this is why Li Dazhuang is so grateful to Yi Tian. Because if it wasn't for Yi Tian, his Huoling jade would sell for 5 million yuan at most, and his child's life-saving money would also be lost. Li Dazhuang could only lick his blood at the edge of the knife again, looking for precious things in exchange for money. However, such days cannot last long. Li Dazhuang will encounter danger sooner or later. At that time, those who lose him and wait for his daughter will be doomed. I've been bothered by these trifles. Li Dazhuang arched his hand to Yi Tian apologetically, and then he was ready to leave. Don't worry. Seeing this, Yi Tian raised his hand to stop Li Dazhuang and said with a smile, if you can trust me, you can take me to see your daughter. Maybe I can find a way. Master, you are not joking with me. When Li Dezhuang heard this, he was so overjoyed that he didn't dare to believe it. He really didn't expect that such an expert as Yi Tian was willing to help himself. Moreover, since Yi Tian can even make a substitute for Tianlingdan, he may really be able to solve the problem of channel disorder.
I didn't say that before. I don't like joking. Yi Tian looks at Li Dezhuang and laughs, light way.
Li Dezhuang immediately scratched his head with embarrassment when he heard the speech. But then, he suddenly remembered something. He looked at Yi Tian with embarrassment and nervousness and said, "Elder, I'm short of money. Except for the money, I can't afford to pay you too much.
Let's talk about the payment. Go and see your daughter first."
Yi Tian smiles and shakes his head, then turns to look at Yan Bing and says, "I'm going to Tianhe City. If you are in a hurry, you can go back to Nanhai by yourself."
"I'm going too." Yan Bing hears the sound and thinks about the ropeway. The more things she experiences, the more curious she is about Yi Tian.
She wants to follow Yi Tian and see how many surprises this mysterious guy can bring to herself. "Master Tian Yun, when I come out of the mirage, I will start to think about refining pills for you.
In the meantime, if you have anything to do, you can go to this address to find me."
Yi Tian hears the speech, nods at will, then looks at the person on the sky cloud, calm way.
"I'm waiting for your good news."
Tian Yun man nodded in a hurry, and his face brightened. The opening of the mirage is just around the corner. Isn't it true that the day when he transforms from the top master of the prefecture level to the old monster of the heaven level is just around the corner? There is a distance between Tianhe City and Liqing County, but it is not too far. If you take the high-speed railway, you can get there in an hour. Because he was helping Li Dezhuang's daughter to cure her illness, Li Dezhuang helped Yi Tian and Yan Bing buy the first-class high-speed rail ticket ahead of time. Because of the rush to buy, 3 people are not in the same car, so agreed to get off at the station after the assembly. After getting on the bus, Yi Tian assigned himself the position according to the ticket. After sitting down, he closed his eyes. 20 minutes later, the high-speed railway stopped at a station on the way. Not long after, a young man and woman came up. The boy is handsome, with a white shirt, black trousers, rolled-up cuffs and a shiny gold watch, which makes him feel like a rich family. As for the girl, she is wearing a lotus pink dress, with 2 long, straight and white legs exposed, which looks very eye-catching. The combination of handsome men and beautiful women is always the most attractive. As soon as they get on the bus, they attract the attention of many men and women on the bus. 2 people with tickets go to the position of Yi Tian. The young man looked at the hands of the ticket, and then look at the position of Yi Tian. Eyebrows cannot help but wrinkle. "Hey, get up and change places with me." Closely following, the young man looks at Yi Tian condescending, arrogant, incomparable way. Yi Tian didn't even move his eyelids. He continued to close his eyes. On the one hand, before he sat down, he checked the bill and found that this was his position. On the other hand, although he didn't mind changing his position with others, the premise was that there was business in quantity. The young man had such a bad attitude that he begged for help to change his position, but he made it look like giving to others. In this case, if you still obediently get up and let the position, isn't it cheap? Can't you hear me talking to you? Young man Yi Tian ignore, obviously some angry, voice raised a few degrees, cold way. Yi Tian continued to say nothing and leaned back on the chair to close his eyes as if he had not heard anything. Around the passengers, looking at the young man's appearance, have shaken their heads, disdain, part secret way, do not know which is spoiled child. Qin Shang, since other people don't want to change it, forget it. I'll sit here, and you'll sit in the front. It won't be long before you get off the bus. When the young girl saw that all the people around her were looking this way, she couldn't hang her face. She shook her head to the young man and said, "What are you looking at, showing off that you have eyes, don't you?" Qin Changchao swept around. When he saw that all the passengers in the carriage were looking at him, his face showed a touch of shame and annoyance. He gave them a cold drink and scolded them. After turning his head to one side, he looked at the young girl and said, "Don't worry, Shuefu. Today, whether he is willing or not, he has to get up and give up his seat." The girl named Shuefu shakes her head helplessly when she hears the news, but she looks at Yi Tian in the eyes and is also a little tired. "Let a position thing, get up, let not be, pretend what can't hear."
Does he think it's very personal to lean on it like this? Since you are deaf and can't hear me, I'll have to invite you up.
At this time, Qin Cheng sneers and grabs Yi Tian's shoulder. His that action is really don't see to have pleas of meaning, on the contrary is more like to intend to pull Leaf Day from the seat to turn over to the ground.
Bang! However, how could Yi Tian let Qin Cheng's hand touch him?
When the other party was close, he raised his hand and gently raised it. Then he swung Qin Cheng's hand to one side and hit it heavily on the iron railing above. For example, Qin Cheng, a young man who lives in a dignified and respectable way, usually has a layer of grease on his finger, and he feels extremely painful. Now when his hand is hit by the iron railing, he feels as if he has lost half of his life. He cries like a pig. Hiss looking at Qin Cheng's appearance, a group of passengers in the carriage snickered and thought this guy was really funny.
If others ignore you, they don't want to take care of you.
If they do something, you are not wise.
Yi Tian opens his eyes and looks at Qin Cheng with boredom.
He says coldly.
So you're not deaf, you can hear me.
Qin Cheng listened to the mocking laughter around him. His cheeks were red as blood. He pointed to Yi Tian and said coldly, "Boy, I tell you, I'm from the Qin family in Jiangnan. If you are wise, you should kneel down and kowtow to me immediately, then give up your position, otherwise, haha."
Jiangnan Qin family? Yi Tian can't help frowning at the sound.
Because of Qin Luotian, he did have a lot of curiosity about the Qin family in Jiangnan, but he did not expect that his first contact with the Qin family in Jiangnan would be in this way.
I'll go. I remember, isn't Qin Cheng the eldest son of the fourth room of the Qin family and the fourth successor of the third generation of the Qin family?
Hiss. Don't laugh, or there will be no good fruit to eat. At the same time, after hearing Qin Cheng's words, the smiling faces of the passengers who were laughing in the carriage suddenly solidified. Their eyes, which were originally watching the drama, immediately turned to one side and did not dare to see more.
The end of this high-speed train is Jiangnan City. Most of the passengers on the train go to Jiangnan City. The third son of the Qin family in the south of the Yangtze River will end up in the city of the south of the Yangtze River? What's the fourth-in-line successor?
It's the third-in-line successor right away. When Qin Cheng heard these words, his face was elated and he said in a loud voice,
"Third-in-line successor?"
When Yi Tian heard these words, his eyes suddenly changed. According to the information he had learned before, Qin Luotian was the only daughter of the Qin family in Jiangnan. She had a superior status in the third generation of the Qin family and should be the first heir. Then, she was the eldest son of Heir Fong, San Fong, and Si Fong. But now, Qin Cheng, the fourth-in-line successor, clamors that he will become the third-in-line successor.
Does this mean that the status of Qin Luo God in the Qin family will change?
It seems that the engagement is true, and the Qin family is in big trouble.
Boy, do you see those people? I advise you to apologize honestly and get out of the way.
At this time, Qin Cheng is holding his hands in front of his chest, looking at Yi Tian with a proud face, coldly threatening.
You think you're a member of the Qin family in Jiangnan, so you're amazing? You can do whatever you want?
Yi Tianping smiles and looks at him.
It's amazing. How? Do you dare to beat the Qin family in Jiangnan?
Qin Chengqin a young, full-face proud. As members of the Qin family in Jiangnan, they are just like the ancient prince Huang Sunny Yang, especially their successors in line, and they are just like the ancient prince, so their status is naturally more unusual.
Take the initiative to fight.
I've never seen such a cheap person as you. Yi Tian looks down at Qin Cheng and shakes his head with a sneer.
Damn you!
Qin Cheng was furious, and his arm flew up.
Pop!
Unfortunately, Yi Tian's speed is faster. After watching Qin Cheng sneer, he slaps Qin Cheng in the face. A slap fell, and he was directly pulled to the ground.
5 bright red fingerprints appeared on his cheek.
There was still a touch of blood on the corner of his mouth.
Qin Cheng covers his face and looks at Yi Tian in disbelief.
He thinks that if he says that he is the third son of the Qin family in Jiangnan, the other party will be scared to urinate. But unexpectedly, the other party is not afraid and slaps him in the face. Not only is Qin Cheng, even the whole carriage of people, at the moment have been dull. Zheng Zhang looking at Yi Tian, his face can't believe it.
Who is the Qin family in Jiangnan? It can be said that they are the local emperors in Jiangnan.
Even if we look at the whole China, they are all top families.
Don't say it's the third son of the Qin family. Even if it's a side branch, it's with the wind to walk out.
This young man dare to slap the third son of the Qin family in the south of the Yangtze River.
How dare he? How dare you hit me?
How dare you hit me? Qin Cheng covers his face and looks at Yi Tian with gnashing teeth. It seems that he can't swallow him alive.
Outrageous and unreasonable, I just beat you, not waste you, you will burn high incense.
Yi Tian looked at Qin Cheng with disdain and said with a sneer, remember, not everyone in the world is your father.
He will be used to you like that. Quickly disappear from my eyes, don't disturb me again, otherwise, I don't mind being your father, and make up for the lessons you haven't had. Immediately after that, Yi Tian returns to his seat and looks at Qin Cheng.
After a cold sentence, he leans back on the chair and closes his eyes.
It's crazy.
This young man dare to face the third son of the Qin family in Jiangnan and say that he wants to be the father of the third son and teach him a lesson.
He's really crazy.
The people in the carriage look at each other, one by one shocked looking at Yi Tian, only feel that this guy is really bold.
You will regret it.
You will certainly regret what you have done today. Qin Cheng struggles to get up from the ground, looks at Yi Tian, grits his teeth and runs to the rear of the car. It used to be just a matter of holding your breath and letting someone sit down, but now it's complicated because of your madness. The power of the Qin family in Jiangnan is beyond your imagination.
He will find out who you are and any information about you. You shouldn't do that.
Seeing Qin Fong leave, the girl named Xuefu looks at Yi Tian sympathetically, shakes her head and says,
"Go away."
Yi Tian looks up indifferently and says coldly at Xuefu, "The Qin family in Jiangnan is powerful, so they can be unscrupulous." It's clear that he begged others to give up their seats, but it's like he gave them alms.
And this girl named Chef is also very interesting. He did nothing wrong, but why should he bear it? What kind of bullshit is it that good people swallow their anger so that evil people can be rampant? Ignore my good intentions, so arrogant, you will regret it. Xuefu's breath is stagnant. She steps back involuntarily. She is slightly angry in her heart and looks at Yi Tianling.
Then she turns around and walks towards the direction of Qin Cheng's departure. Yi Tian shook his head indifferently, and his mouth was full of cold smile. It's no wonder that the old man of the Qin family would choose Qin Luoshan as his successor. If the Qin family were all Qin Cheng's rubbish, I'm afraid it would not be 2 years.
I'm afraid the Qin family in Jiangnan would be like a worm.
However, although Qin Cheng and Xuefu hurled their cruel words loud, they still knew each other very well. Until the train arrived in Tian City, they never appeared in front of Yi Tian again.
Soon, Yi Tian gets off the bus and comes to the exit. He joins Yan Bing and Li Dezhuang. Yi Tian, why are those two people staring at you secretly all the time? Don't tell me that you just sit on the high-speed railway for an hour and don't stop.
Just out of the high-speed railway station, Yan Bing glances to the left and looks at Yi Tian playing.
It's just two rubbish who don't know each other. Ignore them. Let's go to the hospital.
After Yi Tianxunqing sweeps his eyes, he sees that the people Yan Bing says are Qin Cheng and Xuefu.
He smiles indifferently and says faintly. Hearing Yi Tian's words, Yan Bing and Li Dezhuang said nothing more.
They stopped a taxi and rushed to Tianhe Hospital.
Are you sure you heard them say they're going to the hospital?
As soon as the three left, Qin Cheng came out from the side and looked at Xuefu, gnashing his teeth.
Yes, I heard right. They are going to Tianhe Hospital. Chef nodded without hesitation. Good. Qin Cheng nodded, then took out his mobile phone, pressed a few numbers and said, "Nye Chunsheng? I'm Qin Cheng. I'm in Tianhe City. I've been offended by something that's not open-minded. Now others are in Tianhe City Hospital.
You can find more guys who can fight and guard at the door of the hospital.
I'll go there right away. I will let you know what will happen if you offend the third son of the Qin family in Jiangnan."
Qin Shang hangs up the phone and looks at the direction of Yi Tian's departure. He pinches his fingers tightly with a ferocious sneer. Xu Fu looks at Qin Shang and feels as if she has seen Yi Tian being beaten to the ground and covered with blood. She shivers and looks forward to it. Although she doesn't quite agree with Qin Shang's way of grabbing seats before, she is even more angry at Yi Tian's ignoring his kind reminding. Therefore, she thinks that the arrogant guy should be taught a lesson. In this way, when he is in despair, he will understand that what he said in the car before is good advice to him. 20 minutes later, Tianhe Hospital, intensive care unit on the 5th floor. What a poor child. As soon as he walked into the ward, Yan Bing's heart trembled and her eyes were filled with impatience when she saw that the child, who was only 4 or 5 years old, was covered with all kinds of pipes. At a young age, she suffered the pain she shouldn't have suffered. Master, this is my wife Shangli, and my daughter Li Xiaoxiao is on the bed. At the same time, Li Dezhuan looks at Yi Tian and respectfully introduces the identities of the two people in the ward. Dezhuan, who are these two? Shangli was stunned when she heard that Li Dezhuan called Yi Tian Sr. Then she came over in a hurry and gave a gift to Yi Tian. Then she looked at Li Dezhuan and whispered suspiciously. This is Master Yi Tian, the expert I asked to come back to see Xiaoxiao. Li Dezhuan explained quickly. Is he an expert who can see Xiaoxiao? Shangli looks at Yi Tian in surprise. She can't believe that a young man who looks like a college student can have such great ability. You used to be a mountain person, and your cultivation was pretty good. You should be the later stage of Xuanji. Just, in order to help the little girl comb her meridians, your internal power is exhausted, and your dantian is damaged. You become an ordinary person. At this time, Yi Tian looked at Shangli, and after a calm smile, he said faintly. You can see it. Shangli hears the sound, can't help but low exclamation way. Shangli was a mountain man before. Yan Bing can't help looking at Yi Tian in amazement. When she first saw Shangli, she noticed that there was no smell of mountain people on the other side. She thought she was just an ordinary person. But where can think of, Yi Tian unexpectedly still sensed from the other party that he was once a mountain person's breath, and even knew that the other party's cultivation was not abandoned before the realm. This kind of perception ability is so strong that it can be said to be abnormal. At the beginning, you were really kind-hearted. You wanted to do away with your own cultivation to sort out your daughter's meridians, but unfortunately, your kindness turned out to be wrong. Instead of smoothing her meridians, you can't absorb those internal forces because many of her meridians are too narrow and cramped. On the contrary, you aggravate the damage of her meridians right. Yi Tian did not answer Shangli's words, but continued to calm down. Just saw the moment of Li Xiaoxiao, Yi Tian and Li Xiaoxiao's body, felt a faint fluctuation of internal force. The fluctuation, strong and weak, looming, like a beating heart, is very strange. Li Xiaoxiao's age, as well as her physical condition, naturally cannot be cultivated. From this small anomaly, Yi Tian came to the previous conclusions. Yi Tian is so sure, isn't he afraid that the speculation is false? Yan Bing hears the sound and can't help looking at Shangli in consternation. He wants to see whether Yi Tian's words are true or not from each other's expression. Whoa, I heard Xiaoxiao, please help Xiaoxiao. As long as you are willing to help, let our family be a cow and a horse, even if it is to let me die, I am willing to. At this time, after hearing Yi Tian's words, Shangli's tears immediately fell to the ground like broken beads, and then she fell to her knees and kowtowed to Yi Tian with a cry. What Yi Tian said is true. He even sensed such a secret thing. Yan Bing stares at Yi Tian in a dazed way, and the horror in her heart is almost beyond comparison. If she didn't know it very well, Yi Tian had just met Li Dezhuan. Otherwise, they should think that Yi Tian had already paid attention to Li Dezhuang's family, so that they could know the situation of their family, even these extremely secret things. But, she really can't understand, a person's perception ability, in the end how strong to abnormal degree, just like Yi Tian, just a face-to-face, can each other's secret all whole ran.